Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday, November 21st, 10 a.m. on your dial here on Twitter Spaces, bringing you the best of the NBA. Brought to you by Slam Goods. Go to slamgoods.com, use promo code HoopSpaces, save 15%. That's pretty dope if you think about it. 15% off your entire purchase site wide with promo code HoopSpaces on slamgoods.com. They're getting ready for another drop, ladies and gentlemen. Currently, you can get the collector's edition for the New York Knicks cover. $20 normally, get you 15% off, save $3. But keep that. It's going to be worth money later. And if you are a WNBA fan, by all means, please pick up the A'ja Wilson WNBA MVP and Finals MVP as well. Championship cover. That, too, will be worth money. And also, the money you save, you can get yourself a proper cup of coffee. Unlike Starbucks, who messed up, my order. My son wanted a chocolate croissant because he won his student council election, and I treated him to a chocolate croissant, but still, just bad coffee. Lots of basketball to get to. No review the last 2 days, coming off of a all weekend, all day swim meet. My son did well, and that was like 20 hours of work. All right, I'll be back in 30. Got a whole bunch to talk about. I'll get the show card up. Appreciate everybody. Good morning. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. Thank you, wherever you are, for spending any part of your day here with us, as well as watching the World Cup. Hopefully, you are still watching the NBA, as there is tons of action to get to and get caught up on. We will be back 100% fully ready to go tomorrow with a new edition of the Hoop Spaces review. Had to take a couple of days off to go support my son at his swim meet. And if you are not a swimming parent or you have never partake in the swimming life, let me tell you, it is an all day thing. We got up, we were out the door early in the morning, sat there all day, hot dogs, Subway sandwiches, and we didn't get home until late, and we had to turn around and do it again. Finished sixth in one, eighth in another out of about 55 kids. So shout out to my son. And we just got word today that he won his student council election. So I'm going to give him a round of applause. And we have World Cup action as well. England just housing Iran 6-1. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about basketball. If you look up top, you will see the show card. If you could do me the favor, like and retweet. The retweet is worth more than the quote tweet. So what I always suggest is like, retweet, comment, right? Maybe even quote tweet. Bring some of your people in here to talk ball. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. I'm going to hop back to Friday and we'll go over the weekend that was the NBA. And Friday night saw the Wizards come back and defeat a shorthanded Heat team, 107-106. The Cavaliers beat the Hornets 132-122. Darius Garland, phenomenal game, 41 points. The 76ers beat the Bucks 110-102. Joel Embiid with 32. And this was the game where after the game, Trez and Giannis kind of got into it. I thought that was pretty funny. Magic 108, Bulls 107. And we have to ask the question, what is wrong in Chicago? DeMar DeRozan, 41 points, and they couldn't do anything defensively when they needed to, despite holding the Magic to only 42 points in the second half. The Pacers beat the Rockets 99-91 in a comeback. And if you remember Friday's show, I tried to tell you, and you didn't listen, that Tyrese Halliburton is the best point guard in the league, not named Steph Curry or Luka Doncic. It's just facts. If you don't want to believe me, fine. He'll prove you wrong, and he did so on Friday night. 99-91 comeback win over the Rockets. The Grizzlies beat the Thunder 121-110. The Mavs beat the Nuggets in the first of a back-to-back 127-99. The Celtics beat the Pelicans 117-109. The Jazz outlast the Sun in a barn burner 134-133. D Book 49-8-10, and Lauri Markkanen had 38. The Warriors beat the Knicks. That was a much needed win by the Warriors. The Lakers beat the Pistons 128-121. And the reason why I'm laughing, ladies and gentlemen, is they barely beat the Pistons. Like that's the God's honest truth. They had to have a fantastic AD performance in the second quarter and in the fourth quarter to survive the Detroit Pistons. That's your Friday night game. Saturday, the Raptors beat the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks beat the Raptors in a back and forth overtime game. And this is I said this out loud at my son's meet. I said it on Twitter. Like, if the Hawks don't beat this team, like, we really have to have a conversation about Nate McMillan. Pacers beat the Magic 114-113, another comeback victory. The 76ers fall to the Timberwolves 112-109. The Jazz beat the Trailblazers, take over the first in Western Conference again, 118-113. Man, more injuries for Los Angeles Clippers as Paul George has had out the second half in their 119-97 victory over the San Antonio Spurs. Those were your Saturday games. On to Sunday, the Knicks and the Suns. It was not pretty in Phoenix, 116-95. Suns over the Knicks. The Wizards beat the Hornets 106-102, and the Wizards sneakily 10-7, 7-4 at home. The Kings beat the Pistons 137-129 in a phenomenal offensive performance by De'Aaron Fox once again. The Nets beat the Grizzlies in Kyrie Irving's debut 127-115. The Cavs just put it on the Heat. And ladies and gentlemen, the Heat are 7-10, and more importantly, they are 1-6 on the road. And it is getting scary down in the 305. The Warriors beat the Rockets 127. Everybody was happy. Klay Thompson got, 10 threes. Steph Curry hit the night. It's the Houston Rockets. You're supposed to do that. 127-120. After the game, Steve Kerr with some curious words about Andrew Wiggins. And I tell you, sometimes I wonder what he's doing. He was saying that he needs to play better and the defense hasn't been there, when arguably the 17 games the Warriors have played, it literally has just been the Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins show. The Denver Nuggets come back on the second game, beat the Mavericks at home in Dallas on the back end of that back-to-back 98-97. And ladies and gentlemen, like, that was a bad loss. I don't know if you watched it. It was the only game that I watched in its entirety live. And Jason Kidd he didn't have anything to help propel Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. And if you go around the NBA landscape, there's a couple of great Mavs content creators. We have three of them ourselves with 77 Spaces. But Mavs Moneyball put out a great piece, which you can Google at Mavs Moneyball and check out Kirk's work. There's no help coming for this Mavericks team. It is something that is disgustingly hard to swallow as a Mavs fan. But listen, this is also bad for next year. Dinwiddie, THJ, Bertans, DFS, Kleber, Bullock, and McGee are all on the books next year. And that's not even counting the cap holds of Christian Wood and Dwight Powell, right? Now, Bullock and Dinwiddie are non-guaranteed deals, so they could actually cut them, but they're not going to get the replaced value. So you're stuck with them. That's over $90 million stuck in cap, and none of those names that I just listed are real great trade candidates for in-season acquisitions. So we have a question up there. Teams that should worry, right? What team should be worried right now? The Dallas Mavericks are on that list. The Lakers beat the Spurs again, 123-92. Anthony Davis, 30-18. And pump our brakes. It was the Spurs. Spurs are bad. They finally realized that they are in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, and they're acting accordingly. Apparently, giving up a 31-point victory to Los Angeles in Los Angeles. All right, there you go. Please like and retweet the show card, ladies and gentlemen. It is the only tweet up here in the Jumbotron, so you can hop up here and we can get this basketball convo going. Word on the street, we will have Hoops Hype Yossi Goslin here on Wednesday around 11 or 12. So if you got any of questions for your cap for your team or just around the league about who might be available for free agents or trades, definitely put it on your calendar for Wednesday as he'll be stopping by. We have Joe the historian and we have Micah Clark already ready with their hands up. And I see that Micah and Joe always come through, right? They come through and they support the show by liking and retweeting. That is something that works for me. It's the least you can do, right? And I'm actually going to put up the ask later with Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal to go ahead and ask for some contributions to Hoop Spaces, trying to get a couple things done here that require some coinage, and coinage is needed. All right, we have Micah and Joe. We will go to Joe first. Joe, good morning. How are you after a great weekend of NBA basketball?
I am good. Saying I want to say congratulations to your son for his swim meet and everything like that, placing in and what he did. And first of all, I want to say about my team, like I want to put out this is probably the most complete that I've seen my team in a while. And I want to put out there that I want Sean Marks to do his job because basically I'm not saying that we're champion contender, but I think we can make a deep run. But we need a big man. Ben Simmons. I'm glad I was one of the people who was like saying pump your brakes on the saying to trade to Ben Simmons or whatever like that because I knew that saying like he was coming back from back surgery and he's gonna come into form. But one of the most beautiful things of last night is that Ben Simmons took it from the foul line. I mean, from the other court, went straight down the court, didn't look to pass, wasn't hesitant, and just went to the rim. I think that's a very, very good sign. I give Sean Marks kudos because Yada, wow, Yada. Like right now he's one of the best 3-point shooters, but he's like so clutch. Like I don't think he missed a 3-pointer in the fourth quarter. So saying I give that to Marks and Kyrie played good. We didn't stop the ball movement, and Kyrie played good. He had 14 points. Saying he even gets his legs under him. I think he look good. Look good. But I wanted to say something about the comments that Kevin Durant said about his team, and I'm glad he cleaned them up in the interview he did with I think at boardroom and stuff like that. But I understand why he did it. Most people didn't. They thought he threw his team under the bus, but I understand why he did it. And stuff like that, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Vaughn. Saying like he's been doing a better job than I thought he was gonna do. So I'm impressed. I'm good with that. So I'm saying I'm liking my team right now. We coming off this. We 8-9. Saying we could go 500. We going. Saying Philly, we're going to Philly, and saying I know that we ain't got Tyrese Maxey and stuff like that, and I know because you're a Philly fan, saying like trust the process probably makes you cringe, but yeah, saying Nets world, trust the process, it's coming around, Royce O'Neal, they thought Royce O'Neal was like you said. Royce O'Neal is a good addition. I think he was too. So, saying I'm glad for that too.
Yeah, nah, man, big Royce O'Neal fan. Shout out to Royce O'Neal, and Yuta Watanabe, every Toronto Raptors lost favorite player all of a sudden. Shout out to Yuta actually having a phenomenal year, coming out of nowhere to be honest, in terms of this offensive prolific pace. Micah, good morning. How are you, and how was your weekend of basketball?
Man, I'm good, Chris. Well, part of it was good. The first half was good, but man, Chris, why don't you go ahead and cue that funeral music for me? Because these guys, Lord have mercy. It's what I've been saying. It's what we've been saying. They're redundant. You got 6, 7 guys that are pretty much the exact same player. And it's what's funny to me is Jay, like we keep on saying that the reason we're not playing Seawood is because of his defense. However, we turn around and run THJ out there, possibly one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. And not only is he a terrible defender, he's out there just clanking and clanking and clanking. And I don't think that we have realized that our defensive sets are pretty much the same thing as our offensive sets. Is it runs off of a half court setting. So whenever somebody's breaking a three, you put your defense behind the 8 ball. So you're better off putting these guys out there that can actually score and might get beat every now and then. But it is what it is. We knew this was coming. We said it, but hey, we're just a bunch of toxic fans that don't know ball. You know, we're not spending thousands of hours breaking down film, watching tape, and listening to everything as it goes around the league. We're just toxic fans that don't know ball. Well, guess what, dude? I don't care if you own a basketball team. You don't know ball, homie. You don't know finance either because you put 80% of your capital into a volatile bubble asset. So you're not a smart businessman either. Stop it. It is what it is, dude. So, hey, like Jose already said, Mark, go ahead and get those divorce papers out there because Luka ain't sticking around for this shit. It's just not happening. I wouldn't. Like a top 3 player just stuck with a straight G League team. It's disgraceful, and no help is coming because nobody wants any of these guys. It's just like people were upset saying we passed up on Morey Marketing, and then you come to find out we actually made a call, and they said, no, your guys are stinkier than this dude that we're trying to push out the door. So there you go. Same thing with Colin Sexton.
Man, lost out on Colin and Lori.
That's because nobody wants our guys. Nobody wants to take on these contracts. These 3-point specialists that don't play defense, they lost value like crypto. Nobody wants these guys. Just a couple of seasons ago, people were trying to give them 4 for 84. Now we can't get rid of them at 16.
Hey, don't worry. Somebody will sooner or later come around, Micah, and say, buy the dip.
Right.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna get JFK in here, but I'm gonna stop real quick. If you look up top, the ask is here. Couple things that I need to get done, right? And in order to keep this going the way it's been going for the last season plus now, need a little bit of help. Otherwise, I'm going to have to take some time off to go work some side hustles to raise some funds. If you can, enjoy the content, awesome. Like and retweet, awesome. But if you have the ability to support by donation, you have PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App up there. I appreciate all the support that I can get from all of you. Go ahead, Micah. Your mic's back open. You got something?
Oh, yeah. No, you just answered my question because you was asking for support, and I was going to see if you had Cash App because that's the only money app that I use. So I'll try to get you some, put my little piece in because I enjoy everything you do and you add value. So
Well,
I
I
would love
appreciate
to
that,
pay
Mike.
for that value.
I appreciate that, Mike. I
I definitely got you too, Chris.
appreciate it,
You,
Joe.
you show love when saying when I was down and saying so I got you.
Yeah, I part of the issue is also what's going on with Twitter. Um, when you hit 10,000, you're eligible for super follows. Um, the super follows team is in disarray, obviously, due to what's going on at Twitter headquarters. And had I had been approved prior to it, we'd be talking a little bit differently. But without knowing when they're going to come back up, like there's just things that I've put off that I can't put off, especially with the coming of winter. Um, JF Cake is up here with us, and if you've just joined us down below, appreciate you guys coming in. If you could do us the favor, the very first tweet where it says almost 20 games into the NBA season, that's what we call a show card. Think of it just like TV. Like a showrunner uses the show card to kind of set the table for the discourse of the day. If you can like and retweet that, or if you want to get engagement with your own followers, quote tweet it and say, hey, if you like basketball, check it out. Come through and listen. If you've come in every day and and we've provided value for you here, and you have the means, please consider supporting with the donation so we can keep this going. It's not easy. Like I had to take 2 days off yesterday for my son's swim meet, and like I'm trying to clear emails. And when I look back at this, right, I spend probably about 10 hours a day just to do this, right? The 3 hour show, the engagement, and then the talking, the interviews behind the scenes with like reporters and talking about the league, and then a lot of watching basketball. Until this weekend, I have watched every game, whether offensive possessions are the game in entirety. This weekend, it just wasn't going to happen. Too many responsibilities at home. And if you like that type of content, including the review, which is absolutely 100% free, that's what I'm providing. So this is like my NPR moment. You'll hear it a little bit more throughout the show because like it's not easy, and in order to keep it as convenient and consistent, that's why I'm making the ask. JF Cake, the Heat are going through it. Everybody seems to either be out due to injury or maybe Kyle Lowry. I don't know. Eric Spoelstra has his team playing hard, but they just seem to not have enough towards the end. What is going on in Miami as we look for the rebound? They lost last night, 113-87 to Cleveland. What do you got?
Yeah, good morning, Chris. A beautiful day we're having today because we have the World Cup. This is something that can distract me from the boo-boo-ness of the Miami Heat. But let me start off with this, Chris. First and foremost, what are the Kings doing with your incentives? I mean, you are the Midwest recruiter and scouting analysis for the Sacramento Kings, and they're not paying you, Chris. We got to have a conversation about that. You've been doing a fabulous job with the drafting of Keegan Murray, and they've been balling. They beat the Miami Heat, but like, Chris, what's going on? I mean, shit, they can at least give you the media pay, but they're not even giving you that. Like, we need to talk about it. But moving forward,
I was about to say that, Chris. Like, you're not getting they looking really good right now. They're not showing no love to you, Chris. What's going on?
I do not work, and nor have I ever worked for the Sacramento Kings, but I appreciate the love.
Sure, Chris. Sure.
Yeah, Chris, one of these days, the lie's gonna have to stop, and it's not with me. So we're gonna have to figure that out and go ahead and announce it on Who's Spaces. But yeah, moving forward, you like wrestling, Chris?
I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
You watched it when you were a kid. All right, so I got a comparison for the Miami Heat. Right now, we are Kirk Angle. Okay, we are Kirk Angle. We
Oh, that
have,
is a nasty agenda, JF.
yeah, I know, and I have to say it. We're one of those that will always contend. But you know what? Our theme music usually starts off with "We suck" from the crowd because we do suck. And we're gonna have to admit that. Look, Orlando Robinson is a steal. The man knows how to play. I think he can take minutes away from Deadman, but Deadman came out yesterday acting like he don't want his minutes taken, but it's gonna happen one of these days with that plantar fasciitis. where he can't even step correctly. Jamal Cain, man, what happened to preseason Jamal Cain? He went missing. I think he's still in the G League. But right now, you're not seeing the Miami Heat. You're seeing the Sioux Falls Skyforce. We are literally playing on 6 players with 1 leg, 3 toes, and 4 fingers. We don't have anybody, Chris. And it's gotten to the point where we need to start experimenting. I don't know what Spoelstra's problem is. I know he's one of the top 15 greatest coaches of all time. I'm not sure why he's not giving Jokic the minutes that he should be playing. I'm not sure what it is. And the craziest thing is, how the hell is all y'all making fun of Kyle Lowry, but he has not missed a game yet? That's what happens when you put yourself under the 18% body fat. It's like you're able to do what you got to do. And it's just crazy because it's like, did anybody else take the conditioning test serious? I felt like only Kyle Lowry did because his job was literally on the line for it. But, we have Minnesota and Washington. I don't know how the order goes coming up. But before I finish off, England won 6-0 or 6-1 today off the backs of 3 black players. So show respects to Raheem Sterling, Jamaican born. Oh, yeah. And we also saw some college basketball in Montego Bay, Jamaica. I think we saw LaSalle. We saw a couple other games. But this is what I'm talking about, Chris. Bring basketball to Jamaica. We talked about it last year, and I'm glad they're doing it. But there's a lot of good games that they played. I watched them all on ESPN, and I'm surprised that we actually build a building that can actually hold this type of competition. It's been a minute for Jamaica, but you see the inceptions of Jamaicans coming into the game with Nick Richards. We even have like a whole thing for Patrick Ewing. So there's a lot of good things happening around the world besides Miami Heat losing. Look, I don't know if there's some voodoo why the Hurricanes, Panthers, and Heat suck and the Dolphins are winning, but it needs to be changed. I'd rather have the Dolphins suck, Chris. This is not cool at all. Give me back my Miami Heat. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
You know what? There's a whole bunch. I'm in a good group chat. There's a whole bunch of Heat and Dolphin fans, and the Heat fans are pretty much unilaterally behind JF in this aspect. They would rather have the Dolphins suck because they've been so preconditioned to the Dolphins sucking that like they're just used to it. All right, so the first team that we are going to talk about are the Miami Heat. How worried should the Miami Heat be? Is the question, ladies and gentlemen. Here is their roster, and it's concerning. You have, if healthy, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Caleb Martin at the floor, Bam Adebayo, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, and Duncan Robinson are the first 3 off the bench. Max Strus has been in the starting lineup almost as much as Tyler Hero now, who's out with the ankle injury. Max Strus also comes in as the first backup power forward, believe it or not, edging out Duncan Robinson and Haywood Highsmith. Dwayne Dedman is their backup big. Nikola Jovic is their rookie who's just now recently getting run. You've heard the name Orlando Robinson. If you don't remember him, he actually had a pretty decent college career. He was at Fresno State. He was one of the dudes who kind of surprised some people in the draft workout in the combine, but didn't get drafted. He's going to be a find for our Miami. They always do this. They always find some of these guys out here on the margins. And what's really funny is when you really look at it, they're either from California or they're from like the Midwest, Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, and Indiana. That's just what they do. Victor Oladipo has not returned. And if you haven't, followed his saga, just go down the Google rabbit hole. He had a horrific injury in Indiana, and apparently they never fixed it correctly. And he's been on the fallout dealing with that. There is no timetable for his return, none that I've been able to find. And that right there is concerning. He did, however, travel with the team recently, whereas Tyler Hero hasn't. How worried should the Miami Heat team be? This is a team that lost in the finals in the bubble. They were a 3-point shot away from making it back. What are your thoughts? And we'll open up with JF. We have Joe, Micah, and Tony are up here. If you want to come on up, by all means, please raise that hand. Do us the favor, though, like and retweet the show card. JF, how worried should you be?
Chris, I'm worried to the point that I need to have the suicide hotline next to me every time Haywood Highsmith gets 30-plus minutes. Jesus Christ, Chris. I've never seen a man play so horrible and then try to save a team. Like, this literally caused a hernia. It caused a heart attack, caused a stroke on my left side, Chris. I can't do it no more. It's really bad. And if I'm telling you, Chris, at this point in time, I said it before, and I knew it was coming, but as much as I don't want to bite my words, but I'll take Draymond Green right now. You know what I'm saying? Not Ben Simmons, but I'll take Draymond Green right now. And the reason for this, Chris, is like he can make the layup that I think he can make the layup that Hayward Highsmith cannot make. I mean, look, we put Hayward Highsmith in to get rebounds. That's literally it. But there's no reason why he has to have 30 minutes, Chris. No reason. He has missed 8 open 3 points. He's missed layups. He's missed everything. It's really bothering me, Chris, to the point where it's like he kind of reminds me of KZ Okpala, but we gave him too much time. And you get what I'm saying? Like, this is what the Heat do. We get these experimental guys, and to be honest, their bread and butter is through the G League and undrafted guys like that. But it's just not the guys that stay on the team that have a jersey. Like those 13, 14 bench guys, like they need to go. And that's exactly what Hayward Highsmith is. I love his energy, but he's just not it, Chris. You're gonna have to literally give me somebody else. We are looking horrible right now because we've been decimated with injuries. Tyler Hero, this sprained ankle is bad, man. He's been out for a while, and he was having a good tear. And to be honest with you, if we at least had him, it wouldn't be as bad as it looks right now. Jimmy's back in Miami trying to get the arena to be called Big Face Arena because I know damn well he's not injured right now, Chris. He can't be. Like, I think this is just monitoring his health and understanding that he doesn't want to give his all, which is play out Jimmy. I know when he's going to play with the lack of talent that's around him, and that's exactly what we have, a lack of talent, especially when we're injured. Does this get fixed, Chris? We're going to have to say goodbye to 2 of our first rounds, Duncan Robinson, for that to happen. But I'm still seeing who out there is suffering as bad as the Miami Heat, so we can try and make this trade because everybody wanted to call Duncan Robinson garbage, but I'm pretty sure there's a couple teams I'll take Duncan Robinson right now, especially if they got injury at the point guard position. Right, Chris?
Duncan Robinson at a point?
Not a point, but I'm just saying he can be your backup shooting guard. You know,
he can be something. Like he could be something. I mean, like
I see a lot of hands now.
Like you know, like I mean, I hate to tell you this, but the league view him like Davis Bertans. Like,
you know what's crazy? They view Austin Rivers Austin Reeves way better than they view Duncan Robinson, which is crazy because Duncan Robinson has a way better shot.
Wait,
and he's
why is that crazy?
Because it is crazy.
That is not crazy.
If you put Duncan Robinson on the Lakers right now, they'd probably be a lot better.
Who's he guarding?
Chris. He just needs some help. I mean,
but who's he guarding?
But his plus minus will be a lot better because he can hit threes, Chris. So at the end of the day, yeah, you're gonna have to sacrifice something.
But who is he guarding? Like Chris, that's the like you put him on that team, and like you never mind. I get it. You're pushing the agenda, and the agenda needs to be pushed. I respect that.
Exactly. But
$15 million a year for a 3-point specialist, Chris. Who wants him?
Davis Bertans is available too. Go ahead, Joe. Get in here.
Yeah. I wanted to make. I said this in the all season. I think that the Heat wasn't going to go far because I think that Bam needed to make a bigger step to be the number one person on this team. I didn't think that y'all was going to go far with Jimmy being the number one person. That's just me, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm with you with the Duncan and Robin experience, man. Y'all need to get rid of that. Like that need to be done. But I just want to know, Jeff, how bad is it now that the Heat did not really do anything in the off season? That's what I wanted to know.
Well, it's funny because as long as Jimmy Butler's been here, he has had consistent monitoring on how the season goes for the Heat. Like 1 year they're good, 1 year they're not so good. The next year they're good, the next year they're not so good. So I think we're in the not so good year, which usually does pan out well for us the following year. Because what we understand is what we had, the pieces that we have, and what we need to add. I think Pat Riley likes to work off of expiring contracts. And I'm not sure what it is, but to be honest with you, Bam can have that year that you're talking about. It's literally one complimentary piece away, and that complimentary piece is somebody we drafted in the 27th pick last year. Nikola Jovic needs to get more playing time. He needs to start next to Bam and have Strus coming off the bench and let Tyler Hero play starting, because at the end of the day, you're going to give yourself some more, I guess you can say, time for you to find a true four, a veteran four. But at the other hand, when healthy, it'll give you a decent bench that can actually make runs against any other bench in the NBA. So I think the complementary piece for right now would be Nikola Jovic for Bam, so he can ball out. But if it's not so, it's just going to have to buy his time. But right now, it's not looking good, just because, like, when Heat have these type of injuries, when, like, they always have this little period, like when one person gets injured, then shit, everybody's injured now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Duncan Robinson cut his hand on a jersey, gave Vincent his knee is influenced. Like, how you cut your hand on a jersey? That don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying?
You know
Like,
what?
That is hilarious.
Hey, you know what? Right? That I think there was a scuffle, and like, unlike Golden State, no one leaked it, or it just wasn't caught.
you might be
Right?
right.
Now, hear me out, okay? Tyler Hero's hurt. I accept. I've heard enough. He's hurt. But, like, you have this instance where Duncan Robinson gets a slip in the shower injury, right? Jimmy Butler flies back to Miami. Gabe Vincent, for whatever reason, becomes day to day, and like, there's nothing comes out, right?
All in one day, Chris.
Yeah, and so, like, my guess is there was some type of scuffle, which is then, like, Kyle Lowry coming out saying, "Well, if you're worried about getting your stats, you don't need to be worried about getting your stats. Like, they're gonna come." So, like, I just want to give the Miami Heat, like, a round of applause for, like, fooling the entire league. Like, this whole idea of Heat culture and stuff, like, there's something going on, and, like, they are keeping it in house. Shout out to Pat Riley. I don't want you mad at me. I will shut up now, Pat.
But
Chris, you think this was with Jimmy and Duncan?
No, I don't know.
No.
All I'm saying is that in life, math adds up, and either you get the right answer or you get the wrong answer. And, like, when you look at everything in the equation that is the Miami Heat, you're sitting here like, what the hell is X? I cannot solve for X. And if you can't solve for X, you're like, something happened. And like, they're already notorious for not putting stuff out, whether it's injury or stuff like that. And, like, you just sit back, you go down the YouTube rabbit hole, watch every Eric Spoelstra post game, and you can't tell me that something isn't up. Like, that, it's just, you cannot convince me otherwise. That point brought to you by CT Pittman. Thank you for your support, brother.
Yeah, Chris, I think you might have something there. The Heat are infamous for getting to little scuffles or whatnot between themselves. And to be honest, if there was going to be a fight, the first fight I would definitely see would be Jimmy Butler against Max Strus. I think that would be the first fight that happens. But I don't think that was the fight. I think what happens is the frustration going on with the Heat is that they know they can win. I think Spoelstra's a great coach. So let me say that real quick before I bash him. But I think he's either missing some type of talent or he is not putting in the right rotations. I mean, yesterday's game's a perfect example. Like, we started out the game with two bigs going at it with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, but then towards the second half, we went small ball again. Like, I'm not sure what Eric Spoelstra is doing. And you're right about the injury part. Like, they don't release the injury until like 30 minutes before the game, and then has me worrying and has Chris putting up all these damn posts. And I'm like, damn, Chris, this is when you talk about the Miami Heat, but it's the truth. Like, what really happened to Duncan Robinson's hand? Like, you can't tell me he got cut on the jersey. That right there is bullshit to me. Sorry, my language, but it's bullshit.
Yeah, I love it. Like, you miss a game for cutting your hand on a jersey.
But Tyler Hero is expected to make his return later on this week. Jimmy Butler is expected to make a trip back, I think, against the Timberwolves. One of the later games that we have on our road trip. But it does not look good, Chris, and I think it's just a lack of talent. I think the players understand that they don't have enough depth to go against certain teams, and you need to have at least another veteran presence for that starting spot, so you can have your subs come in and shine. Because at the end of the day, Chris, Max Strus is going to be Max Strus, and that man is balling. I don't care what anybody says. As soon as he put what is it, a tombstone on Coloco's head top, bro, I knew Max Strus is going to be Max Strus for the rest of the season. Like, he's good. Certain players are good on the Miami Heat for the rest of the season. Even as much as you don't see Bam, like, doing Bam, he's literally doing what he's supposed to do. I mean, what more can you ask for an undersized 5 who's literally going against 2 7-foot tall guys? I mean, it's not that much that he can do, and you kind of have to give him a pass on this just because they're not playing him with that complementary piece. And when you saw him play with the complementary piece, they were winning the game. That's just how easy it is, Chris. So, free Nikola Jovic. That's probably going to be my next hashtag for the next couple of days. Spoelstra needs to do something. And, yeah, I think Pat Riley does a great job keeping a barrier around the organization and making sure these funky-ass reporters don't get any bad reports, because Miami reporters are infamous for bashing Miami teams. So
wait. You gotta give us a name.
Barry Jackson, Tim Reynolds, like a lot of these guys are you know, they're only positive when positive things are going. They're not positive when bad things are going. They're not. You get what I'm saying? Like, oh man, I there's not that much I can say, but a lot of the Miami Herald reporters, Sun Sentinel reporters, that's why some of the guys that I listen to are kind of like the under media guys, like the Tony Shorts and stuff, because Tony keeps it real. You get what I'm saying? Like, Tony will give you the problem and then he'll give you the solution. A lot of these reporters just give you the problem and they tell you, well, deal with it. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, this is not what I'm trying to hear when I hear about my team. And so I know Pat Riley's doing what he's supposed to do to the media, because if not, we'd be looking like the Brooklyn Nets right now, Chris.
Yo, see, you know what?
Whoa.
Shout out Tony Schwartz and 5 Reasons Sports, y'all. Check them out. Some of the best regional coverage for your Heat and for your Dolphins. And if you happen, for whatever reason, to be a Miami Marlins fan, I mean, I don't know why you would do that to yourself. But yeah.
Hey,
okay.
JFK, I'd rather have Joe Harris, coming back than Paper Cut Robinson.
Hey, I'd rather have Hayward Highsmith than Ben Simmons, so that's what it is.
You know what? You're probably going to end up eating that Ben Simmons comment sooner or later, because I think he's coming back just fine. I'm not lying. I like him. If I could, people sometimes just need to chill when a person misses 2 years worth of their work.
Say it again, Chris. Let them know. Just chill.
Now the Kyrie stuff, that's a whole different other conversation. Coming back off of a suspension, where he has now miraculously met all of the prerequisites issued by Joe Tsai and the Brooklyn Nets. We'll get to that later. Down below, if you have any questions for the Miami Heat, now is the time to come on up here and get them out, so you can listen to JFK or any of the other Heat fans who might be in attendance, who might want to come up, talk about it. I want to give you the schedule coming up. They are 7-10. And as we look, usually 20 games into the season is when we start realizing what a team is. They are in trouble. They have Minnesota, then they have Washington twice, a team that they just lost to in overtime, who's on the opposite end of the coin here in terms of stability. And that's a back-to-back at Washington, Wednesday and Friday. Then you're at Atlanta, at Boston, at Memphis. That is 7-8 losable games. And if they go 1-6, they will then be 8-16. And they will be directly behind the 8 ball.
Chris, this schedule setup is brutal, Chris. Like, we need to go ahead and find Adam Silvers. Why do we have so much back-to-back games? Why do we have so much games against the same team back-to-back? Like, what are we doing? Is this
you're not gonna cry about it when it comes, in April and you have 0, right? Like, people were so upset about these back-to-back games at the end of the season. Well, you got to get them in sometime. Like, what do you want? Like, you can't extend it to a full calendar year league. You got to get some time off.
Chris, this is a record amount of back-to-back games that we've had in the season. And the season just began.
But again, you will go from March 11th. Actually, no, March 13th. You will go March 13th for the rest of the season without a back-to-back. March 11th. Yeah. So you'll have a whole month of no back-to-backs. You'll have a couple of games that are on consecutive days, but no back-to-backs with the same team. So like that's what the teams were complaining about to make it easier leading up to the playoffs. Get rid of these back-to-backs, right? So I'm just saying, like, you got to get them in sooner or later. But what do you think, man? What's your record in the next 8 games?
Chris, we're probably going to win about 2 games, and that's hopefully against Washington.
All right. Sounds like somebody's hungry. Go get him a bottler. I miss mine being that small.
Doing
I tell
right
you.
Now, Chris, God, he just woke up from a nap, and he's causing terror. So that's why I wasn't really on it. I'm watching the ball right now. I'm gonna feed him.
You good, man? You good? I miss mine being that little. After he won this student council thing, I was like, God, man. 9 years already flew by. All right. We will go to the next team since we got some people not wanting to come up. I'm going to look real quick, though. If you look in the chat box down below, the ask has been made. Like, I do this Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. And over the course of last season and this season, we are actually hitting 261 episodes of Hoop Spaces. This season, we launched the review, which is a daily newsletter. Had to take the weekend off due to some life stuff, man. Got to be a good dad. Have to be there for your kids, and I chose that. But we do that every day. And when I say we, it's me. I literally watch these games, sit here, recap it, put the links that I read. And the next step is getting in some of these interviews, like Jamal Crawford said he's down for it. Scotto, some other people I know are down for it. And like, it's really becoming a full-time job. And it's something that I'm enjoying doing, but like there's stuff that I have to get done. And if we want to keep this moving, we have to make an ask. So if you've ever, come in and have seen value, and you can, because I know it's holiday season, consider contributing like a small donation so that we can get a couple of things done here to set us up through the holiday season all the way to the All-Star game. And no anxiety here. We are less than 16 days away from me finding out if the NBA Launchpad program will go ahead and accept my proposal so we can become partners with the NBA officially. And I say officially because I know some of you are in this room every day. Like I know what a couple of the burners are. You are here, and that's cool. But like if you've been here since Clubhouse days, for some of you, like hook a brother up, man. You see the work; it's consistent, it's good. You see the people down below; they're here. Right? Come aboard. JF, for whatever reason, I cannot add you. You're going to have to shut down your app and reopen it up. Up next, though, we're going to talk about another team, right? The Dallas Mavericks, who seemingly are the Miami Heat in the Western Conference, the team that's just up and down and struggling with their camaraderie, lineups, and health. How worried should these Dallas Mavericks be? We have Micah here. There's also Rolo and Jose, although I do not know if they'll be able to come up because it's during their work hours. But the Dallas Mavericks is a curious case. They are 9-7, but they are 8-3 on home, so they're 1-6 on the road. And usually, about 20 games in, as we always say, is when we start looking at what the problem could be. Like, what's the issue? And the issue is they don't travel well at all. They've really only had 2 games that were close on the road, and they were the first 2 of the 3 to open the season. One in Phoenix, where they lost by 2, and one in New Orleans when they lost by 2. They had an overtime loss, but every other game until last night, it's been pretty handily won. Like you didn't see like, oh my God, like why did they lose? And that's the problem. You can't win in the NBA if you can't win on the road. and we kind of alluded to this earlier, they've got $90 million on the books for next season without counting Luka's 40 and whatever they give Christian Wood. So, like, let's just play a game here. Let's say Christian Wood gets a 3-year, $90 million contract. So, like, you are already set with 9 players at about $160 million. And then you throw in Josh Green, who's making 5, your rookie contracts, which probably total up to about 9. And you only have 12 men on your roster. So that leaves 3 roster spots that are open for a team that has a mercurial owner, a first-time GM entering his second season, and very little in the way of assets to improve his team now. So how worried should these Dallas Mavericks be? We have JFK, Joe the Historian, and Micah up here. And if you're down below and you want more Mavs in your life, make sure that you follow Rolo and you follow Jose, who's got the other title up here, Kukulkan. Shoot them a follow. They host 77 Spaces with Jazz the Scissor Sister. I love that. Scammer Sultan is the handle. An hour before the show, and they break down the games prior. They give you the pregame. They let you get your vent on, and it's a phenomenal experience. So make sure you shoot them a follow. All right, we'll go to Micah. Micah, I set it up. Here are your next 8 games: at Boston, at Toronto, at Milwaukee, home versus the Warriors. Then you get a little bit of a break with Detroit, who's going through some injury issues. And then you're at New York, back home at Phoenix, and then at Denver. I'll even throw in the 9th one. You're home against Milwaukee, right? You are currently 9-7. But by the end of that 9-game stretch, like, we could be looking at a under 500 Dallas Mavericks team with very little to look forward to going towards the All-Star break. What are your thoughts about how worried they should really be?
I mean, they should be extremely worried. I don't know how many times I got to sound like a broken record, but they're all the same guy. And the one person that might give you something different, you play him 17 minutes for the only person that might give you one of the only people that might give you a different look, and he gets 17 minutes. And then, and THJ, good Lord, have mercy. Like, that's what's so annoying. Like, you're telling me you won't play Christian Wood because you're worried about his defense, but at the same time, you got this shot chucker that can't play defense worth a lick. But he's getting all these minutes. And then, I would not be surprised if, just to piss us off, they ended up going on a run against all these good teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not, and like, it would not surprise me even a little bit if we beat all those good teams and then got busted up by Detroit. Like, they are so up and down. They're so inconsistent. They just, and we're stuck with these guys because nobody wants them. You know what I mean? It's like people were putting out there, and I was saying I wouldn't do it because the contract looks gross, right? But Brooklyn has the same issue. They're chock full of three-point specialists that don't play defense. What makes you think they want to take on a couple more of ours just to get off Ben Simmons, like, that still have long contracts to go? And it's like, I don't see any relief coming, so we should be very worried because you got a top 3 player, but you're surrounding him with a freaking G League, dude. Like, these guys just don't got it, and You're not playing the guys that do. And look, here I got to get this off. For all you guys out there that was asking for Dwight Powell apology letters, he just made the worst center in the league look passable. So there you go. The dude got straight bullied by the one person that I think might actually be worse than JaVale McGee. So, like,
let me get some other people up in here, Micah, so they can get their thoughts on the Mavs and get you to reply. If you are a Mavs fan down below and you want to come on up, go ahead and come on up. We got KP, the executive hater, JFK, Joe the historian. Remember, like and retweet that show card. KP, you came up and your hand is up. What do you have on how the Mavs should be worried?
The Mavs should be worried because their coach isn't a good coach. Their owner isn't a good owner. And they have a heliocentric number one option without a number two or number three. So they're basically just winning games to lose in the playoffs. They're just, spinning the block, as they say. They're not going to go anywhere of significance. I don't think Luke is ever going to leave, but they need players. I don't know their financials. I don't know who their GM is. I don't know who their CEO of executives are, but they don't make the right trades. They don't make the right basketball player decisions. I'm sure they got air conditioning and an ice cream parlor inside the building. I'm sure they can get a massage and a sauna with their iPhone or Android, just pressing a button, very technologically sound. But that team isn't a good run organization. That's why they're not going to go anywhere. Not that they don't have one of the best players in the league. Everything else is mid-tier, kind of like a Marvel movie. Everything else is just mid.
That's depressing. That's real depressing.
Yeah, Chris, like he said, they play hero ball. Like it's coming from Brooklyn where we played Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Like 40 minutes a game and ISO and play hero ball so much. I see it. If Luka Doncic is not having one of the MVP type games, they don't look good. And then Christian Wood, I saw him play one good game, and he's very inconsistent. So I saw the IC with the Mavericks.
I agree with that baby. Whatever that baby said, I agree with him.
Oh, I love it.
She loves to talk basketball. Every time I'm on Spaces with basketball, that's when she starts getting really happy. So I think she's gonna be a
the future. Sorry.
Yeah, but except that she's gonna end up being a Nets fan there, KP.
You don't want me to? Don't get me started. Hey, can I just say something real quick, Chris?
Sure.
Shout out to all y'all Knicks fans. Just like I like to turn the Barclays into a homeless shelter, I'm turning MSG into a dumpster fire because it's like that juice that's in the back of the garbage truck that be flowing up. That's what's pulling MSG. Not the food MSG, but the building, that dumpster fire. Get them players out of here, man.
Yo, KP, I hate what you said about the Nets, but that dumpster juice, the Knicks, that is hilarious.
That is disgustingly good. Good.
And then lastly, is there anyone that can fire Mark Zuckerberg? Because if I see any one of you guys attending this Metaverse Biggie concert, I'm going to block you. I'm going to report you, and I'm going to ban you from having fun for the rest of your life. Don't ever go to a Metaverse Biggie concert. Are y'all kidding me? I'm sure Valletta Wiles is getting a bunch of money for a family. I respect it. But if I see any one of you guys posting a meme or a picture or a video of Biggie in the Metaverse doing baby, come on, man. Stop it, man. Stop it.
KP, ladies and gentlemen, definitely worth the follow. Has KP was right. Sunday nights, 10:05. Make sure you come through there. We have created, working together, something we call for public consumption. We'll be getting ready to roll that out when I have a little bit more time. And it's for all your pop culture needs. And we've already been kind of doing this. Like anytime you see a food picture by me, or anytime you see KP breaking down House of the Dragon, or what he just recently did on Wakanda Forever, when you see all things anime, right? Like that's us getting some of the stuff that we like outside of basketball, and we'll be getting ready to ramp and build that up with its own newsletter, its own titler graphic and stuff, so that we can also say, hey, like I'm here for basketball, but like we might want to talk music because like Nas's album was dope, and we might want to throw that up there, get people who are like minded and just share a good time. All right.
Can I say one last thing? Just one last thing. We're going to be doing. Yesterday we had a conversation about a documentary called Pepsi Where's My Jet. I broke it down.
Yes.
Really dope documentary on Netflix. Everyone check it out. I think it's fun. It's 4 episodes, about 35 minutes apiece. And then we also spoke about the best villains in movies of all time. We're going to be doing a NCAA style bracket to deem who was the best villain in movies of all time. So just getting that together, and we can have fun with that. But yeah, Pepsi Where's My Jet? Check it out, guys. It's really fun stuff.
It is. Yes, I haven't watched. I'll watch it. I don't need to watch it because I've read it, right? Like the legal briefs and everything. So like it's a docuseries about the court case Leonard v. PepsiCo, right? They used to have these things called Pepsi points, for all you who don't know. And the only reason why I know this is because my house was a Pepsi house, right? My mother drank Diet Pepsi. My grandmother drank the gold can Diet Pepsi, caffeine free, right? And the dude who did this and his friend figured out that they could actually buy these Pepsi points for like an average of like 3 cents per point. And like if you got so many points, you could get these gifts, these prizes. And like PepsiCo put out, if you get like, I think it was like 7 million points, you will get a Harrier jet, right? Mm-hmm. So at the time, it's like the second most advanced fighter jet on the planet. And anyway, long story short, that's why you hear all the disclaimers for all these prize and contests is because of Leonard v. PepsiCo. Anyway, back to basketball. JFK, go ahead. And we've got JB Fortis. That momentary happy rant brought to you by Jackie. Thank you for your support today, Jackie. JF, go ahead.
Yeah, so Chris, first things first, I don't know what KP was right about Wakanda Forever, but does your list
of villains include Marvel villains as well, KP?
Yeah, all movies. We're going to do like a 64, a top 64, then we're going to bust it down like the NCAA tournament.
So I want to say this,
just staying on pop culture, first things first, shouts out to, and rest in peace to Jason David Frank. The original Green Ranger, that was my childhood right there, Chris. If you know, you know.
He was still doing everything up until now. He's been carrying his Power Rangers franchise forward. Not sure what KP has to say about that, but please respect Jason David Frank because he is one of the great.
Never watched an episode.
Yeah, R.I.P. Tommy.
I respect the dead. I respect the dead. Don't do that to me.
All right, so my only thing staying on the Mavs. Well, first of all,
with my son, I hope he's any type of fan, but a Celtics fan. But moving on to the Mavs, what is Mark Cuban really doing to hinder this team from winning? Is it just the neglect that he has for the team, where he just gets his Dirk or his Luka, and then he just go win me a championship? Or does he have a plan? Does he have any good basketball ears around him? Like, what's up with Mark Cuban? Because I see him getting a lot of bash, and I'm not sure why he's getting a lot of bash, but maybe for his Medicare or something, but I won't even get into that. But yeah, what's the deal? Does he have any good basketball minds, or is it just lethal shooter around him?
Look, the trainer game is different. So you will always have your team trainers, and then players can avail themselves to independent trainers that they pay for, or their agent, pays for it because they have a relationship. And then there's even contract trainers that teams hire to come in kind of like a hired gun, right? So sometimes what you end up getting is too many voices as opposed to too little. And what like Lethal Shooter has been able to do is go beyond like a regular standard relationship of trainer and player, and like he's able to insulate some of his players and have them feel more comfortable, which and then makes them more receptive to training. So like to argue whether that Lethal Shooter is the only voice isn't really the question. The question is he doing too much?
But
I think.
They also have God Shamgod as well on their staff as well.
Well, shout out God Shamgod, but like he ain't a shooter.
I know, but what I'm saying, Chris. All right.
So there's a thing going around saying Lethal Shooter doesn't really work well because Sabonis has dropped his shooting. Also, Grayson Allen has dropped his shooting. Is there any validity to that?
I would have to ask Mark and some other trainers. Like, there's a lot of trainers that don't like Lethal Shooter and what he does because it's considered unconventional. But like again, the job of a trainer is to put a player in a position to take the best of what they're offering to put it in their game. A lot of people think a trainer is going to come in here and he works on this player's shot and that player is going to have a new shot. It doesn't really work that way. Most of these players are going to shoot within 98% of how they shot in high school, right? Like, understand what you're asking a player to do is change all of the muscle memory that they have created from the time they first picked up and were coached how to play basketball. That is a gargantuan process. So what ends up happening is good trainers will say, I'm able to train a player. My goal is to put that player in a position to succeed. Take the best of what I have to make their game better. Up on top to actually answer this question probably directly is Kelly Dempsey. Kelly, thank you for popping in here. Founder of KED Training, if I remember correctly. Long Island and Brooklyn related. I appreciate you coming up. Your thoughts?
No problem. I just wanted to share something. I coach every level. I've coached elementary to high school to college. And I've worked with NBA pro trainers, pro players, overseas players. I just want to share something that I had experienced. The man that runs the national PAL is actually Steph Curry's uncle. And I work with him. He shared the story about Steph Curry and his shot. But Steph Curry makes almost like 98% of his shots. That's just a known fact. So now what they work on with Steph Curry is instead of working on makes, they work on how he's making it. So not hitting the rim, an all net shot, going straight in the middle of the basket. So now it's more targeted shooting where you're trying to make the best shot possible going in, a make, not a miss. And there I've trained with Jason Hernandez, who's now in the NBA as a coach, who played at Hofstra and played under Jay Wright. He used to do, a shooting game at every age, like +2 for all net, +1 make, -2 if you miss, -1 if you hit the rim. So like at any level, you're kind of working on the similar things, but different ways of doing it, especially if you're at that level where you can shoot. And as a trainer, I think you have to go out of the box. Like, I'm always out of the box. My players are always like, oh my gosh, what drill are you coming up with next? Because I'll go super out of the box with a lot of different drills because it's going to help them ultimately. And like you were saying, muscle memory, there's many different ways to teach muscle memory. I had my girls do probably like 15-20 minutes of two-hand ball dribbling for 20 minutes the other day in practice, but that muscle memory is also going to help their shot. So there's a lot of different tweaks and things that you could do. And when you think out of the box, sometimes you get better results, because it is out of the box. You know, you have to be uncomfortable to grow. So thank you for letting me jump in and speak. I just wanted to add a couple of things.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming up and sharing. That's what we're here for. Make sure everybody shoot her a follow, just like I have, because that's the power of what this platform is able to do, and you get a great, succinct answer to make yourself a better fan. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate you. Everybody give her a round of applause. All right, read time. And then we've got Malika Walker and KP. Their segment coming up. Thanks to them for their support. Will be JB Fortis's rant on the Chicago Bulls, who are now Team 3 in the "That Team Should Worry" category. Brought to you today on Hoop Spaces by SlamGoods.com, the online marketplace of Slam Online. And if you don't know what Slam Online is, we can talk about your basketball fandom later. They were originally Slam Magazine. They were the perennial magazine covering basketball. And then, of course, like all things in time, it changed with the advent of the internet. And they morphed and stayed with the time as opposed to falling the way of the dinosaur, let's say, like maybe Sports Illustrated. You can still pick up a physical copy of Slam. And I suggest that you do that because it's tactile, the feel of your fandom in your hand. And I would request that you look at 3 separate ones. The Kobe Bryant Rewind Trilogy series, the Asia Wilson WNBA and finals and regular season MVP cover, and then also the AI one, right? Like, he arguably is the reason why we have the successful culture in the NBA. And you can actually read how it was covered in time, in real time at that time, like stepping in a DeLorean going 85 miles per hour to go back in time. Back when Doc Rivers was not just a great coach, but a good player too. Shout out Doc Rivers. SlamGoods.com. Head on over there. Use promo code HoopSpaces. Save 15% off your entire purchase site-wide. And I'm going to tell you now, we are working to secure another sponsor, to get you another promo code to go along with Slam Goods as we build a better basketball community one day at a time. Up next, we're going to go to JB Fortis. Clear out, everybody. He's in the paint, and his target, the Chicago Bulls. JB, host of NBA Now, NFL Now, 8 a.m. here on Twitter Spaces. Good morning, friend. How are you?
Good morning. It's been a little bit. I've been at work all the time, and now I'm finally back, and I am worried about the Chicago Bulls. I'm worried, especially during this Christmas time. I feel like the Chicago Bulls are reminiscent of Scrooge, and I'm about to tell you why. First, they are just awful in the month of November. I mean, 3-6 and in the month of November. And so in the Ghost of Christmas Past presence, their 3 wins have been against the Nets team when they were making that transition over to Jacques Vaughn. They won against the Hornets, who are straight trash and in the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. And then they had a nice win against the Toronto Raptors on November 7th. And that November 7th, which is 14 days ago, was their last win. They've proceeded to go 4 straight games with losses. They've lost 4 in a row. And more to the point, isn't so much that they're losing, it's that you wouldn't know, aside from their record, what they should work on. There are a lot of people on this space specifically who like to look at offensive rating and defensive rating and say, that's what we should pay attention to. That's all we should pay attention to. And in that way, you would say, well, they're 19th in offensive efficiency and they're 12th in defensive rating. So they're just a middle of the pack team going through their struggles. No big deal. But if you dig a little bit deeper, and not even that much deeper, you'll see that in the month of November, they were 23rd in opponents' field goal percentage allowed, 28th in opponents' 3-point percentage, and yet still 12th in defensive rating. Well, maybe they're doing good stealing the ball. Maybe that's how we can explain it. 26th in most assists allowed to the opposing team, which means they're letting teams pass the ball, and then they're either giving up the 2 or they're giving up the 3. I don't know what you're supposed to even do on defense if you're not making steals and you're allowing teams to shoot the 2-pointer or the 3-pointer. I mean, what's even the point here if it's not to score points or to stop passing? And the Bulls can't do either of that. And DeMar DeRozan, who's supposed to be the superstar, is up and down game after game after game this month. And he's the star of the Chicago Bulls. And to see his line, I'm pulling it up right now, you have a 41-point game in this loss against the Magic as your most recent thing. So you would say, oh, well, DeMar DeRozan going 16 for 30. I don't know what more you would want him to do, except that against the Pelicans, he only scored 28. Okay, well, 28's a good game. Against the Nuggets during this losing streak, well, he had 16 points, and that's not as good. Well, maybe, look back at the 33 that he scored against the Pelicans the game before. Except then against the Raptors, in the win that I told you about, he only scored 9 points, 20 points against the Raptors, and then 46 points against the Celtics make you think, oh, well, no, he's really good. But then I have a 9-point game against the Hornets, and that was a game that they won. And so what's the point of all of this? It's to demonstrate that your very best player, the player who you really count on in DeMar DeRozan, is very inconsistent. Sometimes it's a big output, sometimes it's a big output, sometimes it's a low output. You just don't even know. You don't know from game to game whether DeMar DeRozan is going to be good or bad. The only thing you know is that DeMar DeRozan is not going to shoot 3-pointers. How do you know that? Because he hasn't shot 3 in any individual game for the month of November. Usually he's good for 2. Sometimes he makes one of those 2. And when I say sometimes, I mean twice. In the month of November, he has made a 3-pointer. Not in the same game, twice in once in one game against the Magic and once in one game against the Nets. Doesn't stop him from taking it, just means that he's only made 2 of them in the month of November. So then there'll be somebody out there who'll be like, the best player really is Zach LaVine. But even if I wanted to agree with that, even if I wanted to agree with this idea that Zach LaVine is the best player, he's scoring even worse than DeMar DeRozan. But you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that just by looking at the stats. Sure, he's going 20.7 points per game, and you would say, well, obviously that's less than what DeMar DeRozan is averaging. But the inconsistency from him is wild. I have a game with 4 points against the Magic. I have a game with 10 points against the Hornets, and that win, 16 points in the loss to the Celtics, and a bunch of 20s. So the reason to be worried about the Bulls, to sort of wrap all of this up, is that the stats, when you look at the individual players, don't illustrate the worry. So any Bulls fan can talk themselves into this present, this ghost of Christmas present, that, hey, our guys are still doing the job. The people who we've paid, the people who we want to be the leaders of our team, the focal point of our team, are still doing the job. They're still consistent. They're still producing, even amidst these losses. Well, we can keep it going. But then the ghost of Christmas future, which is my last point before I get out of here, tells you that I expect them to go maybe 0-5, maybe even as bad as 0-7 the next 7 games. They have a game against the Celtics coming up tonight. The Celtics are amazing. And if you were to say who's the best team in the Eastern Conference, you might say the Celtics, but you might say the Bucks. But the good news about it is that you'll get both teams back to back. The Celtics tonight, and then on Wednesday, the Bucks. Then you have the Thunder, who are the surprise team, and you would have penciled them down as a win before the season. But now with the way Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing, you might not even want to do that. The Utah Jazz, number 1 seed in the West. Good thing, too, because you need to travel to Utah on the Monday after Thanksgiving to go take them on. You'll stay out west to face the Phoenix Suns before getting everybody's favorite preseason pick, the Golden State Warriors, right, who will be on their vengeance kick trying to get back into the thick of things. And that's not to mention the Sacramento Kings, who are on fire right now, before you finally come home from your West Coast road trip to take on a Wizards team. That is a brutal 7-game stretch that I laid out for you. And if the Bulls go 0-7, then they would all of a sudden be 6-17, and we would be talking about whether they would tank for Victor Wembanyama or whether they should be in the tanking discussion. You're looking for teams to worry about. And I think the Bulls season can go real south real fast.
And speaking of real sour, real fast, remember Zach LaVine was benched in the fourth quarter during the closeout, and apparently got into it with head coach Billy Donovan. Report by Jamal Collier on ESPN coming out yesterday that LaVine and Donovan are all good after playing time rift. And I will tell you this: if you have to have a conversation, it's not all good. Like that's why you're having the conversation, because it's not all good.
But I just read you stats from Zach LaVine, and I can even dive deeper. And I think that if I were to dive deeper, I think you would come down on the Billy Donovan side. I think you would say, you know what, he needed to exit the game. Now, maybe you don't make as much of a showing as you did, but even so, you would think to yourself, oh, wow, Zach LaVine's really, struggling. We need to get him extra work or whatever. If I were to continue to read you stats on Zach LaVine, I think he should have spent that time going to slamgoods.com and using that Hoop Spaces promo code instead of complaining and bitching about his coach and having that public leakage. They're in trouble, man. They're a team to worry about.
He's playing in line with his career averages, which is actually lower than what he's been producing the last 4 years. And the issue that he's having is he's just not making the same shots this season. And I think it's just because he's not going to be able to take the same shots this season. And when you watch the Chicago Bulls team without Lonzo Ball, and a lot of people forget that a lot of his big games last season came because of Lonzo Ball. It's a stagnant offense. It really is. And he's the one who ends up suffering the most because he isn't DeMar DeRozan. Like, DeMar DeRozan has that mid-range game. That ain't like, he's Joe Johnson, but not Joe Johnson. He could probably play in that mid-range until he's 40. Without that other floor space, like, people are just keying in on Zach. And he's not having the same success 12 games into the season. Partially because of that, and partially because I don't think he's healthy. He doesn't look the same. He doesn't look happy and spry like he did last year, which, by the way, coincidentally, last year, the most games he's played and started in his entire career, except for his rookie and sophomore year where he played 77 and 82. But last year, starting 67, the most games he's ever started. And he'd already been in the league. Like, this is his 9th year.
Chris.
What's up?
Yeah, I wanted to, well, you kind of answered my question, but I was going to ask, he left, JB, that, because I saw it too. Like, I saw one of the games, and Zach LaVine was, we got Cam Thomas on our team, and, saying Cam Thomas, he was playing good for a couple of games, but when he started not playing good and JV snatched him, you could see his, his aura and stuff like that. He wasn't happy on the bench. I saw a Chicago game, and I said the same thing about Zach LaVine. Then I saw the quotes, but you already answered it. It's about the coach. I thought that maybe it's because, like, saying it was like he's DeMar DeRozan and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't even say answer the question. But yeah, that team, that line. I mean, the team, the games coming up is brutal. But yeah, that team is in disarray too. You're right.
All right, do me a favor. Like, your question, go down to the chat box, put it in the chat box, and then add JB Fortis as an @ so he can answer it too. I want to make sure he gets a chance to have his voice heard. Which, by the way, check him out. 8:00 in the morning. If you're on the East Coast, you can hear him scream into Twitter as his sports therapy carries a variety of topics around the NBA and NFL. And for those of you who've reached out in the DMs and say why I don't do NFL, like, I'd be so great at it. Thank you for thinking that. I just don't do the NFL. All right, like, I can give you a couple people who do. It's just I just don't. Like, I just don't. Malika Walker is up here. The Malika Walker, my friend of almost now 3 years. That's going to be amazing. We're like 7 months away from 3 years of knowing each other on Social Drop and Audio. Also giving some support here to Hoop Spaces, and I want to say thank you If you look in the chat box, the ask has been made. It's also up here on the Jumbotron. A couple of things that I need to get done, and it just happens to cost money in order to keep this running day to day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. So if you could, if you find value, send $5, $8, $10, even $1. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I'll take $1. Bills. That's heading into the winter for everybody, and any help is appreciative. You can also catch Malika Walker hosting the Rewind Pod, getting ready to be where all podcasts pod, and working on a Bernard King write-up, ladies and gentlemen, to go with the Bernard King space that she had a couple of weeks ago. Malika, good morning.
Good morning. And yeah, I'm working on a few things, but we just had a Len Bias overview space yesterday to talk Len Bias, and because his birthday just passed on Friday, he would have been 49. So we talked about him yesterday, and I have a few spaces coming up, including the Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf autobiography discussion, Nets, Jason Kidd history, and Philadelphia 76ers talking about the AI history. Those rooms are coming up. But yeah, the NBA right now is a little insane. I'm pleased with my team right now. And I could care less if teams have injured players on the other side when we play them, because people didn't care when we had injured players when we played them. So I'm looking forward to this next stretch of games that swirled. And JFK, you can hate Ben Simmons. I appreciate the consistency. I appreciate the consistency and the dedication, and I respect it. I actually respect it. But I'm glad that Ben Simmons is coming around, and looking forward to another week in the association. Let's see who pops out this week. I have Houston Pistons Spurs winning the Wembanyama sweepstakes, but the Hornets may be right there because of the injuries and because of just general people not panning out the way that they thought they would. So I'm thinking they may be right there. But that's what I got so far. But I see JFK raise his hand. I just said I appreciate the consistency. But
No, he's just being consistent. Like, if you appreciate it, like, he had it known he was going to raise his hand, Malika.
yeah, he is consistent, but it doesn't matter. Ben is Ben. Ben gonna do him, and I will be rocking my Basquat Ben Simmons jersey when I go actually to Barclays to a few games in December. So
I love the white ones. I want one too.
Hey, Chris, I just want to say, look, Ben Simmons has 6 tests he has to go through, like Kyrie Irving has went through, to get back into good graces with a lot of people. His first test is going to be against the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia. How is he going to handle that crowd? To me, I think he might have a couple Paul Pierce incidences during that game if the nerves get to him a little bit too much. But that's his first test, Malika, his first test. Second test, we'll talk about it when it gets there, but he has to pass that first test.
Hey, he's fine.
Chris,
He's
look,
fine.
I saw a guy in his first couple of years of Philadelphia when he was not injured after his rookie year. I mean, who gets that award? A rookie year in the second year? Come on, Chris, that's the most coddling award I've ever seen given out.
Joel Embiid.
And I don't know. They call those 76ers players, to be honest with you, Chris. But his first test against the great Doc Rivers, and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So
Tyrese is out for a month, bro.
Oh, Jesus. Damn, you got no heart and no Tyrese. Hey, George Niang, step up to the plate.
Yes, George Niang and Shake Milton. Just another reason to prove to you that Doc Rivers is a great coach.
Chris, what is this great coach thing you're doing all season with Doc Rivers? Is this really willing Doc Rivers to get that chip that you guys want? Because you know damn well you don't believe that.
Malika, if you're not catching on yet, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I've been caught up what he was doing.
No, I did. I've been caught up, but he's just being consistent with it.
Well, okay.
Consistency.
Let's have this quick detente. Tell me why Doc Rivers is not a great coach.
Oh, you actually seriously? Well, I got one. I was at 3 series where he was up 3-1 and lost all of them.
So was he out there on the court?
Chris, we talking about coaching, man.
Wait, all right, just give me an answer. Was he out there on the court? Yes or no?
No, he was not on the court.
Right. So then we established that he wasn't playing. And then the next thing is, well, he's a coach and he should have made adjustments. Well, like he did, and they didn't work because the players didn't execute and the other team out executed his team. Right? Like I get not liking his coaching style. I do not like his coaching style. I'm not a Doc Rivers philosophy person. I'm not the, hey, I'm here to make you feel good and be all players coach. Like I'm like Rick Carlisle with swag. Like you gonna do what I say or you gonna sit, because I'm gonna get other people who gonna do what I say, right? There's a methodology to that approach. And then once the players earn your trust, you can allow them to be more self-expressive. Doc isn't like that. Doc is a ride or die. I played. I'm gonna put all my trust in you, coach. And like that's just not my preferred coaching philosophy. But he has more playoff wins than literally every coach but 3.
But Chris, let's be honest. He could have won a championship if he actually stayed with Rafer Alston instead of putting Jameer Nelson in. That was his fault, and he didn't make the right adjustments, Chris.
Well, again, they might not have been right, or they could have been right, but didn't take into account the adjustments the other team made.
Rafer Alston was balling that series, and he was balling before that series.
He was.
Chris. They could have won.
I'm not saying he wasn't, but that's Orlando. 20-plus years ago, bro.
Chris, no, they had a Orlando hasn't been anywhere since then.
Chris. But hear what you're saying. 20 years ago, you're using something 20 years ago to say he's not great. Did you know a lot of people say, well, it's because he hasn't done anything since Boston. He's got a 65% win percentage since he coached in Boston. How many other coaches in the league have a 65% win percentage?
Atlanta Falcons lost 20. They lost, and they came back on the Super Bowl 28-3 because they didn't want to give Devontae Freeman the ball no more, and that was because they wanted to give Matt Ryan the MVP. So they had him try to go get some garbage time numbers, and that's what you call bad coaching adjustments. They should have put Rafer Alston in. They would
let it go.
And like I do agree with you, Chris. I do agree with you, Chris. Since he left Boston, he has done things, but I thought they were mostly bad. So,
well, okay. So he has a 65% win percentage, and like we are supposed to be mad at him because he didn't coach his team to a championship. Like, are we gonna then discount every single other coach, not named Steve Kerr or Eric Spoelstra? And like, are we only keeping Eric Spoelstra in such high regard because he has like 2 with LeBron James?
Don't talk about Eric.
Right. So, don't talk about Eric.
That's a good point, Chris.
What has he done without LeBron?
Chris, he's been to finals, and he's made it to Eastern Conference Finals without LeBron.
And guess what Doc has done? Like, that's my problem. Y'all just not viewing him with the same lens y'all view others.
But Doc Rivers did not take his team as far as he had with Jimmy Butler than Eric Spoelstra has. Eric Spoelstra took a team with no Embiid and just a Jimmy Butler to the finals, and Doc Rivers couldn't do that. So there you got it, Chris.
And then the word you said is view. Like you giving us, you saying use our eyes, eye test, right? So we don't say our eyes telling us that Doc Rivers is not a good coach.
Well, what I'm saying is,
why does Kawhi get a slide from this?
Yeah,
nobody's coming at Kawhi.
Open your eyes and view more than. Like, that's my problem is we what's wrong with Doc Rivers? Why is he not a great coach? 3 seasons or 3 series, he was up 3-1. Give me something else. Orlando. Give me something else. Since Boston.
Chris, we gave you like 2 already, man.
But man, you gave me something 20 years old, and you gave me something that is a failure of his coaching philosophy. But you're not telling me how he's not a great coach. If he's not a great coach, how the heck did he survive 20 plus years?
I could give you something right now for this season. that I could tell he's not a good coach.
What?
He's not. He is not. Well, because right now Tyrese Maxey is out. Saying like that. But you can definitely see that he was not using his team right, because the team will. Saying the offense that he was trying to implicate with James Harden and B. Saying it wasn't going to work with the teams around him.
But how is that his fault? Like, he's out there trying to put something together to make it work, right? And yet maybe the pieces don't fit. Maybe the players aren't necessarily designed to fit next to each other because somebody's not a pick and roll 5. Like, again, that's not Doc being not a great coach.
Chris, would you rather have Doc Rivers or Stan Van Gundy?
Oh, Doc Rivers without question. What are we doing here? This is nasty. Back to basketball. We got Logan the Foot, JAW, and Jonathan up here. Sunday's off for basketball. Hoop Spaces content creator. We got to get his stuff up on the Hoop Spaces YouTube channel. Shout out to Justin Patton down below, the YouTube coordinator. If you don't know, like, I'm all about an organic, slow build process. I want people to succeed. Not just, because of anything other than hard work and collaboration. And Justin's come on board to start putting some of his stuff out there on the Hoop Spaces YouTube channel. I'm actually going to start getting my stuff probably after, if I can get enough enough support, I can get the stuff that I want to do the things that I need to go to the next place. And we're going to get that out there. If you are a content creator, and you can even have a home, but you want more eyes. Just like last year, we went from 660 followers at the start of the NBA season last year, and we hit 10,000 just at the start of the season this year. I'm not saying we're going to have that same growth in YouTube, but what I am going to say is, like, the methodology isn't going to change. And if you do want to grow and you have the hour or 2 hours a week to make some content, hook up with JP and get the stuff on the YouTube so we can start putting you out as we grow, because we're gonna hit the next expansion phase probably at the beginning of next year. We'll go to Logan the Foot, then we'll go to Jonathan, and we got JAW. Thank you, everybody. Good morning.
All right, what's up, guys? So talking about all this bad coaching going on. I got something that happened on Friday that's worse than anything Doc Rivers has done this year or last year. So I watched the Bulls against the Magic play uninspired, lazy, pathetic defense, give up 70 to the Magic without Paolo, while he just had Javonte Green chilling on the bench. I thought he was hurt. He was unhealthy, did not play the first half. This guy didn't come in until probably halfway through the third, and he instantly turned the game around. Bulls came back. DeRozan helped out too. But I think Billy Donovan, I think the front office needs to step in and suspend him for that. Because I don't know how you could sit there on a Bulls bench and watch Javonte Green all season and then just not play him for a whole half of basketball. I didn't mind Billy Donovan.
I want to pick this up. Like, do you know why? Like, I thought he should be getting some more time too, right? I've been impressed with what Javonte's been done, but the reason why is that they put him behind Derrick Jones and Patrick Williams.
Also, it was Kobe White's first game back too, so I think he wanted to get him in there. But either way, Javonte should get more time than almost all three of those. Maybe Pat Wilkes should get more because he's his height and defense, but there's no reason why Javonte Green should be playing below Derrick Jones or Kobe White, in my opinion. That was egregious in my mind. So that proves the Bulls on all fronts are having failures, even from the coaching, defense, offense. It's dark times right here. The personnel is there to turn it around, but it's looking bleak, especially because, we don't know who to put on the court now. So I just want to say that. So Doc Rivers not doing anything like that, so be happy with that.
Like, I last year, so when people are like, how are your Sixers going to do in the beginning of the season, I said, I know exactly how my season's going to end. It's going to end with Doc Rivers extricating my heart from my chest. right? And like people are like, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, like his track record is what it is. I'm not hiding from the track record, but like when you look at coaching, and this applies to Billy Donovan, you have to look at who was the coach prior and then who's available, right? And like you look at Billy Donovan, the Bulls had Jim Boylan. Like, what are we doing?
Oh yeah. I'm not saying it's not an improvement. I mean, Billy Donovan's brought some good things to the Bulls for sure. But
so, well, hear me out. So, like, you bring him in from OKC, he pays instant dividends. The new front office, after Garpax is unceremoniously released from their responsibilities, put together a surprise team that shot out to the first in the East, and then injuries and real life took its toll, and they regressed back to the mean of where they were. And like, that's not really Billy Donovan's fault. The Bulls just don't have it.
No, I agree. The roster is flawed for sure. Like going into the season, I knew 3-point shooting was going to be a problem. Like scoring outside of DeRozan, LaVine is a problem, and you're seeing that. JB brought up a good point about DeRozan's scoring being inconsistent. But if you look closely, like DeRozan's 9-point outings, his like lower scoring outings, the Bulls are winning because they're moving the ball around and other guys are scoring. So when DeRozan's scoring a lot, it's out of necessity because the other guys aren't doing it. And that usually not good. Usually when DeRozan has to score 40, it means the offense isn't working. You know what I mean? So yeah, the roster is flawed. You know, Lonzo helps a lot. But I just want to make the point that even our coaching is also flawed too, because there's there's certain times he's doing stuff like this. There's a couple weeks ago, we got Zion and Ingram going off, and Patrick Williams is on the bench for the whole fourth quarter. Like that doesn't make any sense. There really is no point to that either. So I agree with you. Injuries and roster is flawed.
I want to point out also for the 76ers, they are tied for the second best defense in the Eastern Conference, y'all. Right? Just throwing that out there. Only one team has the same opponent's point per game. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. And they've been doing this with Embiid in and out and not up to speed. PJ Tucker giving us 30 minutes of cardio. Tobias Harris, some dude named Furkman Korkmaz, and Georges Niang. And y'all want to come up here and tell me that Doc Rivers is not a great coach. Like, Matisse Thybulle, the team's best defender, can't even get on the court because he can't make a corner three, right? And we still kicking it. Shout out to Doc Rivers. Jonathan is up here, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Hattie Hart Harris. Sundays off for basketball. Hola, John.
What's up, Chris? What's up? I'm glad you're not still complaining about having to say my full name. I appreciate you, Chris. You're the man for that. Also, real quick, Chris, Matisse Thybulle can't even make a layup either. I don't know. I never heard you acknowledge that, but Matisse Thybulle also can't make a layup. It's sickening. This guy posts these fake Ben Simmons off-season videos shooting threes, still can't do it, can't make a fast break layup. It's pitiful, man. The Sixers bench is trash truck juice, like KP said earlier. It's horrible. I wanted to go to the Bulls. I know we're talking about the Bulls right now. My only take on the Bulls is Zach LaVine's crying. He don't want to be there. It's time to trade him to the Philadelphia 76ers. What are we doing here, people? How many points did he have last night? 4 points, 5 points? I don't know.
I'll take Tyrese.
No, you're getting Tobias Harris. You know what time it is. And we'll give you a pick with it, too. Don't play in my face. Tyrese Maxey. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're getting Tobias Harris. You know that I know it. Take it or leave it. The guy's crying on the bench. He doesn't want to be there. Real quick, too, we went back. I'm going to go back just a second because I didn't get to talk during the Mavericks. What's going on with Luka Donut, man? You guys sit here, you praise this man Luka Donut, and he played, and you guys, most of you guys, I know you did, you won't admit it, but most of you guys killed James Harden when he was on the Rockets, and Luka Donut's doing the same exact thing, except he's losing. I don't understand what's going on here, people. He does the same thing. He dribble for 5 minutes, and then he passes at the last second. Sometimes they make it so everybody gives him credit, but most of the time his teammates are just chucking up threes, taking bad shots because they don't get involved in the offense, man. You guys have been watching this guy for a minute, and I agree he's a great player. Luka is a great player, but come on, man. At some point we gotta give the same energy, bro. This guy's not gonna win the way he's playing. Sure, they can, I guess, adjust the roster a little bit. I do like Spencer out there, bro. Spencer can handle the ball. He can play make a little bit. He can shoot. He can create. I like him, man. Just how they were doing with Brunson. Let them go off a little bit, man. But Luka, he wants to dribble for 5 minutes. Another thing we were talking about for a second because of Malika, she's not in here anymore, and she's lucky she's not in here. I'll get her though.
she had a work meeting.
All right. I'll let her slide, but I'm gonna get her next time. Benjamin Simmons. Are we still talking about this guy, Benjamin Simmons, because he had 2 good games? Are you guys insane? Are we really talking about this guy because he finally showed up, and we're using these excuses talking about, well, he's still recovering from back surgery? No, you guys know who Ben Simmons is. Stop it. And he's lucky Tyrese Maxey won't be playing in that Sixers game coming up because he would dog Ben Simmons. I wish I could see that. Oh, my God, he would dog him. But we'll get him back. We'll get him when we need to get him. And last thing I'm going to say is every team in the NBA who doesn't have the best player on the planet by far is not close. Wardell, Stephen Curry, they should be worried. Because the question is, what team should be worried? Everybody should be worried because this man is a monster. You saw him do the sleep celebration last night when he was jumping up and down. Everybody say Clay, might have to go to the bench. Clay's washed. What does Steph do? He just keeps giving him the ball. Here you go, buddy. Take the ball. 15 assists last night. He's leading the team in rebounds. This guy's a different animal. And y'all sat here and told me to my face that Giannis was better and he's out here throwing ladders around because he can't make a free throw. Are you guys kidding me? Are you guys? Come on, man. Stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me.
Not better than KD.
Wait a minute. One second, Chris. I'm sorry. Steph is not better than KD. This man couldn't even get out of. He got swept in the first round because he can't figure it out without Steph. You guys are insane. Steph said, "You know what, KD? I'm gonna show you guys who the real MVP is." Remember, KD said who's the real MVP? Steph Curry is the real MVP. This man goes to the finals, dominates as the best player on the floor. He beat Jason Tatum first team. He beat Luka Doncic first team. He beat Jokic first team MVP. It's a fraudulent MVP, but he was still the MVP. And what does he do? He goes and gets another ring. KD, I want to see you go back to the Warriors so you can get another ring and you can help Steph get 5. Stop playing.
Only point of contention that I have is that it was against the Houston Rockets. Like, what are we doing? What exactly? I love it. I mean, I give you high marks on the propaganda, the energy, delivery, fantastic. It makes you question whether or not you are a 76ers fan. Totally on board with it. Keep it going. But it was against the Houston Rockets.
The Sixers been sucks, Chris. What do you want me to do, man? I mean, I'll sit here on the Titanic with you, and I'll drown with the bench. But Chris, you know that bench sucks, man. Embiid has to score 40 every night, or we lose immediately.
It's rough, man.
It's bad.
It's rough. And we're gonna go to JF. We got Micah because the next team up on the Should They Be Worried team happens to be my 76ers. We'll go to Micah though. Micah, 60 seconds.
Man, hey, let me go ahead. Okay, whenever Luka Doncic runs off good talent and runs away from great talent because he can't lift him up to a higher level, whenever he goes 0 for 13 from 3 and has 12 in the playoffs, then you can make that comparison. Bro, ooh, you are not looking at this team, dude. Like, bro, who else is handling the ball? Outside of Spencer Dinwiddie, these dudes can't freaking dribble. Who else are you going to give the ball to, homie? Like,
Theo Pinson!
Oh, yeah. Let Theo Pinson live his best life.
You know what, Frank? We want Frankie.
His starting center made DeAndre Jordan look passable. What are we doing here?
DeAndre Jordan is quietly having a good backup season in Denver. Just throwing that out there. Let me get JFK in here. JFK, keep it 60.
Yeah, Chris. So first things first, any team that lost to the Miami Heat this year, I don't consider a good team. You still got problems. Anybody who says they want KD back on the Warriors is just a 2K player. They don't really appreciate basketball, because why would you want that? I mean, like, why would we want to see KD back on the Warriors? I'm not trying to see just boring basketball every night. Like, oh, yeah, we play the Warriors. Okay, let's just take it. I'm not going to turn my TV on for that. That's very selfish, okay? Let's leave KD where he's at, see what he can do with Benjamin Simmons, okay, and work it from there. I think right now with the Warriors, the thing that's lacking right now is your rookies or your young guys. I think they need to step it up a little bit more. Jordan Poole needs to start, and that's my 60 seconds.
So I'm on here using the computer like I do to message back and forth and check some stuff, and then like a ad pops up, and it's a damn McDonald's app ad, and it's like, scan here to get free large fries. Like, McDonald's, stop it! Like, I don't want your fries. I don't understand why you feel you have the need to push flavorless potatoes that
Chris, I
are
have a serious
doused in
question
salt.
for you real quick.
Yeah, what's
I
up?
have one question for you, Chris.
What's up?
And this is an honest question because I don't know. What's your favorite food, Chris? Because all I hear is I see you bashing food all day.
Well,
Good food, by the way.
that's a good
I just want to
question.
know.
Like,
That's the problem. He's lying.
What are you wanting? I'm not. What are you want? Like, in terms of what? Like an entree, a dish? Like, I mean, I love roasted duck. I love duck confit. I love lobster, potato chips. Like, what do you want, Jonathan? Tell me what you want.
I love let's a dish. Like you're going out to eat. You know, what are you ordering? What's your dish, man? What's going on?
I mean, it depends on where I go. Like, am I going to go to a Thai spot?
You can't win with this guy, Chris, man.
No. Like, I mean, what do you like? If I want Thai, I go to a Thai spot and I get, either curry, or I'll get basil duck, or I'll get larb, which is a hot salad, right?
Oh, this guy, I get it. He's a bougie eater.
I'm not a bougie eater. I eat food, but like, y'all see what it is there's a code in life, right? And one of the codes that I have in life is you don't settle, okay? And like, all you do with French fries is settle. Like, I've seen people get French fries with their order, look at them, seeing they soggy as hell, and still sit down and eat them. And like, you ask yourself, does that person enjoy life? Like, do you really enjoy life if you're looking at some soggy ass French fries from McDonald's or Wendy's, and yet instead of saying, yo, make this right, you sit down and then just dip them in ketchup? Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Chris, just say you're a bougie eater. I said, what's your favorite dish? This man said duck. I don't even know where to get duck.
You can get it at the grocery store, bro. Like, they have it. It's there.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Name 3 dishes that you'll get from a dim sum cart.
Okay, so chicken feet, which is delicious, by the way. They have the one that's the square with shrimp, but I can't pronounce it.
Wait, you said chicken feet?
Yeah, and then
chicken feet is delicious.
And I'll take a bow, and I'll take a bow as well. Like, I love bows. Like, they're delicious.
That's the only problem with Chris. If he's gonna say chicken feet, and then if I say I want to eat a Pop-Tart, he'll probably kick me out of the space.
Bro,
you see what I'm saying?
See,
people?
like, look, that is a scare. That is a scare. Red herring, scarecrow, any term that you want to use. Pop-Tarts, not dim sum. Like, what are we doing? Pop-Tarts are not dim sum. It's literal paste. It's paste. We've got a couple people up here. Hey, 511, what's up? I got you. For whatever reason, it's not letting me add you. I hit it twice now. We have up on stage Damo, a friend here, good with words, ladies and gentlemen, and Andrea Black. We've got a down for the team Lakers fan who's going to come up here, and after we're done talking with the Sixers, we'll be talking Lakers because like they're the other team after this. Again, if you want to ask me a dish, you've got to be specific. You can't just say a dish, right? Like, a dish can mean anything. So we will go to Damo first. Damo, when you go out, do you go out based upon what you want, or do you go out based upon you'll pick out something from the menu when you get to wherever you get?
First and foremost, before I even get started, why every time I come to Hoop Spaces, you are given a bad food take? Like,
okay, again, I was talking basketball. Homie over here to your right is like, yo, give me food. Like,
Yeah,
what do you,
y'all all got bad taste buds. We might as well
Chris,
just
you
talk
know you
about
brought up fries.
basketball.
No, Chris, you started it with a McDonald's French fry.
No, I was doing a segue.
Thank you, Joe.
I was moving the show along as what I'm supposed to do.
And
Y'all
then you start talking
stopped
about
me.
McDonald's French fries, Chris. Come on, that's the
That-
worst French fry you can mention.
That
What
was
is
no,
going
thank
on?
you. I'm gonna give you a point because you're right. But that was the segue. That was the vehicle to the next team. And then instead of letting me finish this beautiful segue, I get interrupted.
Chris, I want to ask you a few questions if I can.
Sure. We are here on the clock with Damo. We're going to ask some questions.
Do you like it?
Do I like what?
Do you like it when the yam and the mac and cheese mixed?
No. Nah, man. Nah. Like yams ain't on my plate.
See, because I caught you, Chris. I caught you. I asked you that question specifically because I need to set the baseline for just how bad your perspective on food is. Anybody that don't like it when the yams and the mac and cheese mix should not ever be trusted.
What are you talking about? That is disgusting. Like you are wanting a viscous sweet liquid to mix with the delicate balance of cheese and pasta. It's disgusting.
The description was hilarious.
Yo, something is wrong with you, Chris. Like, how you not like that?
That's disgusting. I'm gonna go on ahead and side with Chris. That's disgusting. Mixing those two, you need to stop it. I don't know what taste bud you borrowed, but give them back.
Yeah, like
I had an egg roll with macaroni, cheese, and yams. It was delicious.
See, look, like let Damo finish his questions because I had it set up perfectly to talk the Sixers. Y'all complained that I never talk about my Sixers, and instead of talking about my Sixers, we are here talking about yams and mac and cheese.
Let me know when you get there, Chris, because I'm ready to chime in.
Chris, do you put sugar or salt in your grits?
Grits are cement. I don't eat grits.
Hey,
Never
Chris,
mind.
I just want to say I'm with you because I'm pretty sure most of these dudes can't name six different types of cheeses, and that's very important.
Oh, by the way, Jamaican porridge, superior.
You better talk
Say
about
it.
it. You better talk about
Chris,
it. You won today already.
Make
Jamaican
sure
stand up all day.
Make sure you say porridge. It's not porridge. It's porridge.
Yeah, bro. I can't say 40 right. Like I can't. It's just not gonna happen.
I just want to say before I yield my time, mozzarella, feta, brie, parmesan, Gouda.
Okay, go back and re-Google the last two. Go back.
He broke up. He might be on the road.
Mozzarella, cheddar, elemental, Gouda, Parmigiano, feta, brie, Gruyere.
This is a Google search.
Damn, no Parmesan, no nothing like that. The original one.
Mustard is one of the best cheeses, I think.
See, we are out of control here. Like I literally was trying to get to the 76ers. Let me reset the room. Welcome everybody. We are in hour 3 of Hoop Spaces. No matter when you pop in, we want to say thank you for making part of your day part of our day. We are here trying to talk basketball. I had this wonderful setup talk about the 76ers. And it was going to be like, are they the French fries of the NBA? I was reading it into this ad that I got. And blah, blah, blah. But here's an ad you really should listen to. All right. Head over to slamgoods.com and go check out the pickup card game. And you can just actually Google pickup Slam Goods and you can do it. Or you can use their search function. It's $25. And I'm telling you this now. The reason why is that first edition is about to be the first edition. There's something else coming down the pike for the pickup card game. And if you want something to be like a collectible, this is going to be it. Make sure you pick up 2 copies so you can have one to play. Keep one in the plastic because I think once you see the next wave, you'll enjoy it because then you'll be able to take your pickup card game. Maybe get some of these players to sign some autographs. Get it, wink, wink. Pickup card game over on slamgoods.com. Use promo code HoopSpace to save 15% on your entire purchase site wide. And I am eagerly waiting the news about this second potential sponsor, and I can't wait to break it once it comes through. All right, so I'm on this computer. Right, I'm messaging back and forth with a couple people. I'm looking at some stats. I'm looking at the schedule, and this McDonald's French fry ad pops up. Download the app and get free large fries. Right, like McDonald's fries used to be really good back in the day. Now they're not, and there's a lot of different reasons why they're not. And the 76ers happen to be good back in the day when French fries were really good. And what I found funny is if you chart the path of French fries, it actually correlates to the path of the 76ers. And you get the height and the crescendo of the return of the French fry at the height of Allen Iverson's Philadelphia 76er career. And ever since then, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And now we are here in the year of 2022 with the Philadelphia 76ers once again looking like a bag, and not just the box, but the bag of the limp McDonald's French fries. Tyrese Maxey, out. Harden, out. Korkmaz, out. Harris, day-to-day. Embiid, we don't know. The one thing we do know is PJ Tucker can get 30 minutes of cardio in like nobody else. How worried should we be in 76ers land? We will go across the room. Ladies will get the mic first. We will hit up Andrea Black. Andrea, it's great to see you. It's been a while. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Missed you. I'm glad I popped in this morning. Listen, Philly's in trouble. Harden, the hamstring, the off and on the court, he doesn't mix with the offense. The inability to pick your number 1, number 2, and number 3 option is up in the air every single day. I think that Maxey should be placed of more of an importance, but health has been an issue that's been riddling a lot of teams, but that's not Philly's only issue. Their bench is terrible. I don't care what anybody says. The bench is terrible. Their defense took 10 notches backwards. And they just don't have enough to win a chip. Fortunate enough, I think that a lot of people are in the same boat. Defense is lacking. Offense is stagnant. Some players can't find their rhythm. It's going up and down on both coasts. So Philly, we'll see. Joel Embiid's on borrowed time with both knees. So I don't see them going anywhere. So I'll keep it short.
All right. Jonathan, hop in here. You did this great Steph Curry propaganda push. You have to come back and somehow convince them that you are indeed a 76ers fan. How worried should we be?
Chris, after I was in here all last year yelling at these folks about the fake, the fraud, the MVP that Jokic won, and you asked me if I'm a 76ers fan. Let me tell you guys something. First of all, I want to respond to Andrea because we're disrespecting
breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. 76ers star Joel Embiid has a left mid-foot sprain and will miss the upcoming back-to-back games against the Nets and the Hornets. Will be reevaluated
like I said,
in the coming days.
Chris, could you have waited till I popped off first? Now I don't even know what I'm going to say. But first thing I want to say is we're sitting here saying we don't know on a given night who the first option is. I mean, if Joel Embiid's on the floor, he's the first option. I mean, we can watch him and see that, and we can also go off the fact that he led the league in scoring. He's the first option. James Harden and Joel Embiid are pretty decent together. You're going to need somebody like James Harden when you're in the playoffs because, in the regular season, we can make the jokes about James Harden. We don't know if he fits this and that, but you need a guy on the wing, a guy who can handle the ball and score. But I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to say about the Sixers right now. Should we be worried in the moment right this second? Yes, we should. The reason why is because we don't have a lot of depth. We got some injuries going on. Obviously, it feels like now the entire starting lineup outside of PJ Tucker is injured. So yeah, right in this moment, we should be a little bit worried. But for me, I want to see when everyone, after James Harden will be back after a month. Max will be back after 3 weeks. Harris, I don't know what's up with him. And B's now out for a little bit. But I think when we hit after Christmas, when we get into January and we see everybody back healthy and, we see where all the teams stand, I think at that point we can sit here and evaluate where the Sixers are going to be. But right now, I'm hoping we don't drown, because if Maxey was playing, I would be very confident that we can still keep our head above water. But I'm a little bit worried about the next couple of weeks. So we got to see if there's anybody that can actually step up on this team at this point. Hopefully Harris can play and lead them to some wins, but I don't know. But we'll see, man. We'll see.
And that's the problem right there. You heard what he said, Chris? He said
exactly.
He said if Maxey was okay, they'd be okay. He didn't say Harden and B. He said Maxey. That's the problem.
Chill out, Joe. Like,
well, I already know Harden's out for a month. So what do you want me to do?
We've actually lost our stars, just like you've lost your stars, and somehow we were able to stay 500. And that reason is Doc Rivers.
That's a joke and a half. Doc Rivers is a terrible coach.
And yet he has a 65% win percentage of the last decade. We can relitigate this. Just because we don't like his coaching methodology doesn't mean we can't say he's not a great coach.
That's not true though, Chris. I think great coaches win championships. They don't fumble, leads, tremendous leads in the playoffs. That's what separates.
So Frank Vogel's a great coach?
Great coaches. Doc Rivers can never get over the hump no matter how much talent he has. And then to add James Harden to the mix of this is like a double whammy for you to fail. I'm sorry. I don't agree with everybody else. James Harden is never going to get you a ring. I don't care. Maxey is more promising moving forward as a 1-2 punch next to Joel Embiid. The biggest problem that John agreed with me with was the bench. You guys gave away Seth Curry and a lot of pieces that actually helped you stay afloat, go on runs. Some nights give you 20 plus points for what you have now. Aside from just the injury, your bench and everything to hold you afloat is not existent. I think Philly's in trouble and they're sinking slowly. This whole month is going to be trouble.
I have faith in Paul Reed and George Niang and DeAnthony Melton and Shake Milton. They will be galvanized by the leadership.
You have much fun with that in French fries. Stop it.
Chris, the only reason why James Harden doesn't have a ring is because of the greatest point guard of all time. We all know that. Stop killing James Harden for losing to Steph Curry. He's the best. And then also, why is Kawhi and Paul George just exempt? Paul George and Kawhi just exempt from
they're not.
blame?
We're gonna get there because
just haven't gotten there.
They're the next team. Yeah, go ahead, JF. What you got?
Man, this is going to suck to say. First things first, I think if I had to do a comp, I think the 76ers are like a plate of spaghetti. They're good, but it just doesn't do it. And second, you think it would have been better if PJ just stayed on the Miami Heat for both of us, Chris?
Oh, I didn't want to sign PJ. I didn't want to sign Daniel House either.
And Chris, you're absolutely right about PJ. I watched the game and he was just out there just doing cardio. What was he doing?
He was being in the place he needed to be at the time he needed to be there.
But like I said, they just don't have the pieces. And they defense, you could see, it's nowhere near where it used to be. And normally a defense can hold you afloat while your offense is up and down. It's just a big ball of mess, to be honest. And then all this heavy lifting Joel Embiid is going to have to do game 10 through 15 or, you know what I'm saying, 15 through 20. This is the opposite of what you wanted. I think you need to conserve Joel Embiid more so that he can last through the playoffs. And the polar opposite is happening right now. We know he got 65-year-old knees. Like, we got to be careful here. I love Joel Embiid's productivity and what he can bring, but let's be honest, like, He's not very durable, okay? And then his stomach hurts every once in a while. Got to take about 10 games for that. We got to be careful.
Sorry, he got elbowed in the face in the middle of the playoffs. Like, what are we talking about here? By the way, Joel Embiid is the defensive player of the year so far this year. So let's stop talking about the defense. But the man got elbowed in the face. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Well,
we're talking about his knees. We're not talking about we're talking about his knees last
His
week.
knees were fine last year. His knees were good in the playoffs. He got elbowed in the face.
Well, what we need to talk about is what we're going to do at 8-8. That's what we need to talk about. And I foresee this. I foresee a fast-paced offense. I think you will see Doc Rivers bring out the old Clipper days and just say, shoot them up. Let the shots fall. If they go in, they go in. If they don't, they don't. But we're going to give cash. But it doesn't matter at this point.
Like, I mean, you said a fast-paced offense, but you're not getting that with James Harden. So with who?
James Harden ain't playing, bro. He's out.
I'm talking about the whole season.
Man, I don't care about the whole season. I care about the next 10 games. I look. I'm a pragmatist, right? Like, I'm more pragmatic than Obama. Give me the next 10 games. I want to see a lot of 96 to 92 wins here. That's what I want, right? I want them to say, don't worry about shooting. All we want to do is run in transition. Let's run these dudes off the court until our stars get back. Because, like, are you going to trust George Niang taking 18 shots? Are you going to be happy with Shake Milton taking 23 shots per game? Like, at some point, we have to understand this is why you pay a coach like Doc Rivers, right? This is why Doc Rivers is better than Frank Vogel.
Tell them the truth, Chris.
And like, I like Frank Vogel, who, by the way, sneakily Knicks head coach.
Stop it.
What?
Vogel is a terrible coach, okay?
He is not a terrible coach.
Any coach that starts DeAndre Jordan for half of a season needs to be slapped. For real. Come on.
He's not a terrible coach.
That's ridiculous.
He's a championship winning coach.
Start DeAndre Jordan, Chris? Come on.
He is a championship winning coach. He took the Pacers to the Eastern Conference Finals with one single star.
Okay, so let's address the bubble chip, right? First and foremost, you had one of the smartest Laker teams you could ever think of. You had Rondo snatching the clipboards and coaching Vogel during timeouts. Players weren't even listening to Vogel. Let's be honest.
Again, that's more on the players in the front office because they hired Vogel for a role that he wasn't suited for, and he still succeeded. That's the problem. Like, people can be mad at what he did. He still succeeded. And yet people are going to say he didn't. It was the players. Nah, you can't have it both ways, right? He can't have been a bad coach and taken the Indiana Pacers with Paul George one-on-one against LeBron James to the success that the Indiana Pacers had if he wasn't a good coach.
I honestly think that Paul George is underrated, to be honest with you, respectfully. And when you surround him by 3-and-D guys, be honest with ourselves. Homie's a problem. Sidebar, that's why the Clippers are having an issue. Him and Kawhi, I don't care what anybody says. I'll stand on this mountaintop by myself. It does not effing work, okay? Kawhi and Paul George, they're both going to take back seats to one another. When it comes to the playoffs, they're going to be able to win during the season. The playoffs is a different beast. If anybody watches like I do when I'm in the Staples Center, I don't address crypto. I'm a Staples Center person, okay? When I go to the arena and I'm watching Kawhi and Paul George is always having to defer to Kawhi until he gets injured. Then all of a sudden, Paul George can lead this team. I just don't see how this works. I think those two will never win a ring here. I'll stand on that mountaintop for a while and still say it. That's just how it's going to go. Paul George is the piece that you need to build around. Kawhi and his. Now, we're talking about borrowed knees. Kawhi is literally playing less games than Anthony Davis, whom we clown daily. and we still giving him a pass every single year. So I'm gonna need y'all to figure that out.
All right, let me get Cash in here to close out the Sixers with him and Ben, and then we're gonna move on to the Clippers because it's 12-14. I want to make sure that we get Clippers and Lakers in here and the Knicks in here as well. We'll go ahead with Cash. Cash, keep it 60 on the Sixers, and we'll close it out with Ben.
I love what's happening, Chris. I want Georges Niang to take 20 shots and Shake to take 25 and Koop Mines to get these minutes. I love what's happening right now. I got a couple dudes on the trade block right now. Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris. And I would just love for them to showcase their talents to the whole league. I would love it. And then somebody can make a deal. And the Sixers can get better. Maybe we can get Eric Gordon from the Rockets. Maybe we can get Eric Gordon. Maybe we can get Kevin Durant. Who knows? Who knows? I know you want to leave Brooklyn. But I'm not sitting here taking no slander from somebody who said the Lakers would have a better record than the 76ers last year. Yeah. Top of the morning, Chris. Top of the morning.
Ben, hop in here, 60 seconds.
What up, Joe?
I like what Cash said about the younger guys getting an opportunity. I just feel like I'm sure everyone just saw the Joel injury. I'm just like, okay, we're back in like the COVID. This is like, we've been here before. Joel's out now a couple games. I'm like, all right, this is just the Twilight Zone. But at the same time, I'm excited to see the younger guys get an opportunity. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. This is comical, the amount of injuries we have. So you just got to accept it. And yeah, I think I like the Sixers this year. Like, I like their defense is really good. I like the bench guys we got in Melton, House, and Tucker. Like, and I'm bummed because I want to see I want to see it. So it's just and I know there's a lot of injuries around the league right now. Like the Grizzlies are beat up, so it's just part of the league. I'm glad it's happening earlier. But I actually like the Sixers. I like the guys that we got. I'm with Cash. I'd like Eric Gordon. There's some like proven players I'd like in our rotation, but
yeah, we ain't getting Gordon unless he's bought out, bro.
Yeah, but
we have zero trade
a team to look out for. I'll close on this. Is Charlotte? They're a Victor team. They've got a lot of players that I would like. A lot of guys. PJ Washington, Hayward, Rozier. So that's
Miles
a team to look
Bridges.
out for.
Miles Bridges.
Oh. Bridges, yeah. So
I think Chris wants him on that.
Guys,
what up, Cash and Ben?
We have.
How about that Watanabe kid?
We have zero trade flexibility. Like we have to nail it. And we're just not going to because we have Daryl Morey.
But Chris, the team's good. They're just not healthy. The team's not bad. Like you can.
Oh, I know. The issue is
this is the best defensive team since Jimmy and Ben.
But the issue is this a high floor team, or is this a low 100?
Like 100. You got three guys who can give you 40 a night, and this defense, like it's a good team. They just can't. They just need to all be on the court together. I'm not worried. I just want them to be healthy when it's time. Like all right. That's all.
All right,
I'm with Ben.
We got some more teams that we do have to get through. Thank you. I'm sorry. We're a little bit behind. Next up, those Los Angeles Clippers, of which Kawhi gets a pass. Like this ain't a lie. He gets a pass. He does not get the same amount of scrutiny that several other stars do, who have missed a long period of time. Or continually tend to miss time. Klay Thompson is getting killed until he hit 10 threes last night. And by the way, y'all, he ain't back. Like that was just a really good game. But like he ain't back. I say this again. That was the Houston Rockets, y'all. Like go watch the games. He was open because it was the Houston Rockets. Like he did the bare minimum of the job of getting open and shooting. He just happened to make it. If you look at the totality of the year, you still have to say, show me that like 4 or 5 more times, right? And then we'll know you're back, right? And it doesn't have to be made 10 for 10 or whatever it was at the one point. You just have to consistently produce. But Kawhi he's not there. And then he's there. And he's not there. And then he's there. And he's not there. And like at some point, you ask yourself, when do we say the Clippers experiment is over, right? John Wall he hasn't ascended to the starter status yet. We don't know if that's going to even happen. The idea was to ramp him up, maybe bring him in as a starter, but they're still electing him to come off the bench. Reggie Jackson is getting the primary minutes at start. You've got Paul George now out. Kawhi has been in. He's been out. He's in now. We'll see how long that lasts. Covington, after acquiring him from Portland, has kind of fallen off a cliff. And Covington was supposed to be like their catch-all on the back end of the defense. So anytime Kawhi or Paul George miss time, you throw Covington in at the 4 next to Zubac and you don't lose anything defensively. That ain't work out. It took until like just last game for Norman Powell to get working. I still haven't seen Kennard do anything. Like this was a team that was billed as one of, if not the most deep teams in the beginning of the season. How worried should these Clippers be? We'll go to 5 Level Killer. We got Micah, JFK, Damo. We got Andrea Black. If you want to come on up, go ahead, but do us the favor. Like and retweet the show card. That's the engagement we need. And for my PBS moment, if you're here every day and you're down below and you don't retweet, like I'm not thinking you're going to send any money. But if you happen to actually appreciate the value of content and the consistency and just the depth of content, any little bit helps, y'all, even if it's $5. There's a couple things we want to get done here. It costs money, and unless I stop doing the show to go make the money ain't gonna make itself. If you know what I mean. We'll go first. 5 Level Killer. Clippers, buy and sell. How worried should they be? Floor is yours. 60 seconds.
I'm buying that they're not good. They're just not good. And I think that the thing is that they don't know like if Kawhi's going to be there full time. When you don't know that, it's kind of hard to get in a rhythm with the team. Same thing could have been said. That's why the Nets didn't really get into a rhythm because you don't really know who's going to be there. And if you know that you got Paul George for the whole season, just Paul George is easy to lock in like that. But when you don't know you got both of your stars there together, I don't know how far they're going to go. And John Wall has to start because Reggie Jackson looks shaken up by what's going on. So he might need to go to the bench and come off where he don't got no pressure and he could ball out at. I regress.
All right. I appreciate you. We'll bring you back in for some more convo. We'll go to JF next and then Damo.
Yeah, Chris. So before the season, I heard a lot about Paul George, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, John Wall, Nicholas Batum, all these guys that signed with them, and like, oh, we're gonna create an all-star team. But the production just doesn't show. I don't know if Tyronn Lue got a good handle on the team, but it just doesn't look good. For Kawhi to only have 11 points, I'm not sure he's fully back. Reggie Jackson, he has his spurts, but I'm going to have to sell the Clippers, Chris. With all that stardom, there's no way that you don't produce what you're supposed to produce because there's teams like my team that need at least one of those guys, but, and we can be able to produce something, but to have all those players and not produce, I got to sell them for right now, Chris.
All right. Damo, you're up.
I just want to say as Chief Kawhi Leonard hater, he's a system superstar. He didn't deserve to be in the top 75. The Spurs did not lose the trade when he left because the pick that we got was Keldon Johnson, and he plays a lot of basketball as opposed to Kawhi Leonard. That might be it. Oh,
that's nasty, bro.
Another title.
That is nasty good.
I think
the agenda. I respect it. Respect it, though.
Anything else I want to throw up? Finally. Oh yeah, and Tony Parker was right when he called him soft. It was correct and everything.
Wow.
Y'all hated Tony and called him a hater, but Tony was right.
Oh, I love Tony. I was Team Tony on that.
All right, but yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I no problem. Like I remember, like I was never been part of the qual train. Like I respect the talent, but like when he forced his way out of San Antonio, I was like, dog, that is diva-esque, man. Like Terrell Owens without the publicity. Hey, look, I'm all for it. If you don't want to be there, force your way out. If you got that ability, do it. But like, be honest about it.
Oh, actually, one more thing. And all of
Didn't they
all of
misdiagnose his injury though? Like, are we
Did they?
saying that he shouldn't
no,
have pushed
Did
his
they?
way out of San
Like,
Antonio?
that's the problem. Like, they didn't. They just it's complicated, but they didn't.
they didn't get a
I think there are
chance
two
to
sides to a
diagnose anything.
story.
Well, there
Actually,
are always two sides to the story, but like in terms of misdiagnosing the injury, no, because if they did, he would have sued.
I think there's only one side to this story. Kawhi is overrated. Okay,
Well,
that's the
well,
one
you're a
side.
Laker
I
fan,
I
Dre.
No,
wouldn't go.
it's
I
not
wouldn't go
about
that
being a
far.
Laker fan, Malika.
But if
First
he was
and
a
foremost,
Laker,
I
you would
believe
not be
that
saying that.
Kawhi, every team you have been on, you have never been that guy. Like, let's break it down. Come on. You had Hall of Famers surrounding you in San Antonio. You did your job. Whoop-de-doo, you got an MVP. For doing what? Like, LeBron still went to work when you got that. Second, you go to Toronto, a team that already made the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And then you're there just to push them over the hump. As a number one option, it takes a specific type of player. Kawhi doesn't have the durability at all to do it. Okay. If you had to pick somebody, you want to pick somebody that can literally average more than 55 games to help you get it done. Kawhi is on borrowed time with his injuries, has a degenerative issue. You're not reliable. You're not made for LA Lights for me. I believe Paul George is more reliable, and people don't give him enough respect on that regard. Any guy that can come on the floor and get a game in with next to role players, right? And get 41, 7 and 7. One of those sevens is steals, bro. Still at this time, after the injury he had, build around him, my guy. The dude that keeps missing after 2 years of being off, you could ship out. Okay? Go somewhere and be a second or third option again.
Now, I don't agree with everything you said, but the Paul George thing was on point. I agree with the Paul George stuff, but Kawhi has a degenerative knee. I mean, it is what it is. It's degenerative. I mean,
and
what
Andre, like as a Sixers fan, like that Jimmy Ben, like what? I mean, he took one shot, but that was all Kawhi Leonard that series. Any Sixers fan could tell you, and like that team was arguably one of the most talented teams. Like that team was the only team I think that could have beat a healthy Golden State. Like we had Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris, and Kawhi single-handedly beat us. And then he beat Giannis in the Bucks next round. So I agree his durability is a problem, but what he did that.
He beat a wounded Warriors team, if we want to be honest. They
were
came down to
what he did in the East was like pretty unbelievable.
You only can play who you face.
Yeah.
Nope, we're not.
Oh, that was the same year you told me Westbrook would take the Lakers to the championship. I remember, Andre. I remember.
And the Lakers got a bubble ring. I mean, we could be honest about that too.
And everybody got the same qualifications when they signed up for the bubble. Everybody had the same variables. We know this, okay?
I don't do the bubble.
The Lakers.
So like I'm sitting here like with like that meme with the popcorn, and I'm like, man, nobody's hitting on this Kawhi thing. Almost like Andrea got there, almost. All right. My question: when has he ever been the force multiplier? Right, like he got to Los Angeles. And he was put in a position where he had to pass more. But, like, he's never averaged over 4 assists until he got to the Clippers. Like, when can we just be honest and say, hey, he got hot. And he got hotter than anybody got hot in the history of hotness. Like, but since then, he's been cool. Right? When he's on the floor.
Yeah.
He's been cool.
Just got to be there for the playoffs, man.
He's been cool.
Dude,
right?
I'll
How
take
has he
Kawhi
been
in the
cool? He
playoffs.
ain't even
I'll
been in the
take Kawhi in
offs.
the
Paul George has
playoffs.
been left by himself,
He
Chris.
has rings. I'll take him
I
in the
agree with
playoffs.
Andre.
I'm
Like
sorry.
Paul George is, I think, has become one of the more underrated players because the Clippers, I think they're second in defensive rating. And you're like, who is that squad? Like, who do they have on their team?
Exactly.
So Paul George, I think, is very underrated. He controls the game,
You
but
talking about backboard, Pete?
yeah, I like Paul George switched it up. Like he's really good, but yeah, Kawhi Leonard is not the same player. I like two things can be true, but I don't want to discredit like what Kawhi Leonard has done like in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm
before,
not
'cause,
doing that.
I'm not
But
doing it
yeah.
either. But like at some point, we have to say like he got hot. He got hotter than anybody got hot. He took out Steph Curry. He took out Giannis. He took out the Sixers.
But you could say the same thing about Giannis. Giannis got hot in that one playoff.
Oh yeah,
That's
no,
how
you
good
can.
Kawhi Leonard
But
was.
Chris, when do
Listen, man,
we
he playing
focus
at a
on the
very
fact
high
that
level.
you're
He just
next
not on the
to
court, man. That's
how
all.
do we not focus on, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, and then you add him to the mix? Come on, bro.
Well, no. To be fair, like he provided the athleticism and the umbrage for the older stars, and had
no, Chris, I'm not letting you get that off.
What are you talking about? You're not letting me get that off.
This is a Kawhi hate
I'm
session.
not
He
letting you
still
get
he's
that
still
off.
him.
It definitely is a hate session, Malika. I'm glad you see it the way I see it. This is
He
a
definitely
slander
is a
Kawhi
him with a
party.
handicap sticker.
See, like I'm look. I am over here being objective. The Spurs don't win that shit without Kawhi. Like, let's be honest. We could be honest about that, right? And then he turned that, into him being next, and that was fine. And then he got hurt, and then you had the drama, and then he forced his way out. And then guess what he did in Toronto? He was the guy. He was white hot. Bro was an asteroid streaking across the sky, burning up anything in its path. We just went through it. He decimated the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. He won a chip for Toronto. And in the moment that he left, Toronto had to rebuild. And they done a good job. Give them a shout out, whether you like him or not. And then he went on to LA because he wanted to go home, right? And like the first season, you saw it. He had 27 points, 7 boards, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, great defense, and then he got hurt. He's never been the same after 2019, 2020. All right? He came back last year. He played more games than Paul George because Paul George got hurt, but he was in and out, couldn't find it, and he still produced. But he was no longer like that white hot, Kawhi Leonard. And Klay Thompson kind of went through the same thing. The difference is their skill set and their games are different. So you're going to see Klay Thompson hit these games with 8 threes, 10 threes, and 7 threes because he's not being asked to do what Kawhi's being asked to do for the Clippers, even though they're basically living the same life right now. Coming back from a major injury, right? Trying to regain the physical self and then also the mental self. Victor Oladipo is going through the same process in Miami, even talked about it. It's hard for him mentally to go right to left on a simple cross. And like these players have worked their way to get back from these gruesome injuries, but we can still be honest and say, yo, it ain't the same. And that's when coaching comes in, right? What is Ty Lue going to be able to do for this Clippers team as they're going to have to basically yo-yo PG and Kawhi, it seems, for the 3rd season, right? What can Doc Rivers do as he yo-yos Harden, Maxey, and Embiid once again for another season? And moving on to our next team, what is Steve Kerr going to do with the Warriors as they yo-yo Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins around the greatness that is Steph Curry? We'll get there after we clear the hands up on stage. 60 seconds, we will go to JFK. Go.
Yeah, Chris. So first things first, without Kawhi Leonard, I don't think LeBron goes to Cleveland. I think he stays in Miami with his 3 rings. And we don't see the Warriors happen for another year or so. Also, he brought a championship to a team that's never won a championship. Understand you have greats like Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, DeMar DeRozan, and Kyle Lowry together, and he did it. He did it. I mean, you can definitely say he's not the player he is because, again, to Chris's point, Victor Oladipo was a baller on the Pacers, and right now we're trying to get him off the bench into some playing clothes. So I don't know. I'm not too familiar with these types of injuries, but you got to understand, Kawhi Leonard literally changed the face of the NBA, and if it weren't for him, you probably won't see Steph Curry for another year or two.
That's high praise. Chris with sports, go ahead. 60 seconds.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, man. I hate the slander that Kawhi's getting. It's like people think that these players are robots. Like, it's not that easy. And then it's like, this is a real physical sport. Like, these dudes are training hard, and like, I can't. It's just crazy, man. It's just like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hard. Like,
and then, like you said, like Kawhi won a championship with the Spurs, and then he went over in Toronto and was the man. Like, come on, now people always forget.
So, like, what's ESPN and Roto World are the two largest injury report organizations covering injuries for the NBA, right? One is because of ESPN, the other one is because Roto does fantasy. They're owned by CBS. And both of them are like, oh my goodness, Kawhi Leonard is set to play in 3 consecutive games, because that's actually news now, right? And if we can't, like, that's the normalcy that we've grown accustomed to not seeing Kawhi Leonard play consistently, regularly, right? And that part kind of hides this dehumanization aspect that's happened. And like, so this conversation with it is pretty dope, but you have to remember, like, he's a person, and it's okay to say like he's a great player, but like we can look and say, hey, he might not reach the same levels of greatness that he had.
Yeah, that's tough.
How about
with Derrick Rose? Like, you know, he was
point was
freaking phenomenal.
The main point with that, both Chris's, is that we're inconsistent in the treatment that these players get, right? There's people that stay in quote unquote street clothes that get crucified daily, but Kawhi gets the pass, right? That's the problem. You brought him to LA to be the man, to sell tickets and everything else. You got a new stadium and etc. And he keeps falling short, whether it be due to injury or what have you. That's my problem. Hold him accountable just like you hold everybody else accountable. That's
just what you say.
Let me get Micah in here. Micah, 60 seconds, Ben, and then we'll go to Damo. Then next up, we'll get the Warriors, and we'll close out with the Lakers. Thank you, everybody. Good morning.
Yeah, real quick, like, we tend to forget how much a injury or whatever, like, the difference between greatness and mediocre a lot of the times is a couple of steps, a couple of tenths of a second. So when a guy loses just a half a step, they're a completely different player. They're no longer that guy that they used to be. And I think that's what it is with Kawhi. You know, he is dealing with a degenerative knee issue, and he's not going to be the same. And, like, that's what the Clippers are going to have to deal with. They're locked into a superstar that's broken, in my opinion. So,
and they knew
not
that
just
going
that.
in. They knew that going in too, I believe, right?
I mean, they probably did, but
did they? Right, because if that's like, did they probably
But he has a degenerative knee. He had that before he even got to the Clippers.
Well, I know, but like you got to understand, like they probably go in thinking that they're going to throw all the money in the world at it, and they'll be able to manage it better. Like the ego is undefeated, right? The coach will always think he can get through to that player. The GM will always think that our culture will turn around that player, right? The owner always think hiring that guy because of his name will bring, stability and legitimacy and good coaching and thus victories. And oftentimes, people are human.
He has a degenerative issue, Chris and Malika, but we already know it's going to decline, right? It's just not going to get better. The speed at which it does it is the unknown. And I think the Clippers were not expecting it to deteriorate so fast, right? But I think that
I
he
can get with
did.
that.
Yeah. And there was a detriment, Malika, also that I was telling people this man gained weight and muscle over this. If you have this problem, you need to lean out. What are you doing? You're going the opposite way.
Well, there's different ways. The idea of how he gained the muscles probably now more important, but like I don't think that his trainers were going to put him in a position where the physicality throughout the season, like he's going to end up leaning out through the season, is essentially what that plan is, right? You start out bulkier and you lean into the season as your body naturally kind of morphs with the muscle set that
But
you
that's
need the most.
incorrect. That's incorrect scientifically, Chris. The ligaments and tendons surrounding and within your knee, you shouldn't gain as much muscle as he did, knowing he had that issue because of the style of play he has. Okay, he's very explosive, off the dribble, likes to get to the rack. Like, if he was a Klay Thompson, I hear you, right? But because of the type of player that he is, the opposite should have been done, honestly speaking.
I think that what we're seeing is them actually moving him into more of the Klay Thompson-esque role because it's less physicality. That's what I'm alluding to. Like, this is a preservation transition period where they're like, what do we need to do to ensure that we have you as available at the highest level possible? I don't think they went into it statically with him gaining weight to do anything other than that, as they try to transfer him more to the ancillary role as opposed to the lead role. Ben 60, then Damo 60. We got the Golden State Warriors next, and then we'll get some Lakers talk in. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think like with the Kawhi thing, you can't really like overthink the injury. Like he's obviously trying his best to get back. I still really like the Clippers, even if it's like a fraction of Kawhi. This is the way they move the ball. Paul George, I think I think he's the most. I watch a lot of LA basketball, and he's the way he controls the game on both ends. I think he's become one of the more underrated players in the league. And I mean, like currently, the way he's developed his game is just really, really good. And Clippers are really well coached, but I think, Kawhi could still, I don't know, like people, injuries happen. I mean, Joel Embiid missed his first couple of years. I'm with Andrea. I think there is a double standard because Embiid gets the same slander AD does, where it's like, this guy's always hurt. And it's just like, people don't really, there are players who miss multiple seasons, but get the pass. So Kawhi, I don't know. I think they need one. I think they need one more. I think they need one more season before we can like go on this kind of like, Kawhi has a huge liability with his injuries. But yeah, I think the Clippers are still. I think they're still. I don't know. The West is weird for me. Like the Clippers could come out of the West, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know if I'm going to go that far. That would kind of surprise me if they did. Like I haven't seen
Who do you think is coming out of the West, Chris?
Yeah.
Right now, I actually still have money on Golden State. I don't think they're playing as bad.
No, I don't have money on Golden State.
I do.
I don't either.
I don't think they're playing as bad as what people think they are.
But I don't think they're coming out the West because the key pieces that they're missing. Damian Lee is having a field day. Gary Payton is sorely missed. Otto Porter Jr. on the perimeter, and then their young core still needs reps. Like Kuminga and Wiseman, they're not developing as fast. I like them, but they're not developing as fast I think the Jordan Poole and Clay situation will pan out, though. That's not something to worry about, right? But everything else surrounding that is the difference between, playoff contention and a chip, I think is crucial. Like, they're missing some very key pieces. Unless they make some adjustments to the roster, they're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
I don't think they're the one to come out.
They are now 8-9. That would put them on 11th. If you take out the 5-game losing streak, you lose the hyperbolic overreaction, right? So from October 29th and November 4th, they lost 5 games in a row. We'll get to that. I'm not saying take it out the record. The reason why I'm saying take it out is I want to highlight something. We'll go 60 seconds with Damo to close out on the Clippers and the Kawhi propaganda he's got up here, and then we'll move on to the Warriors. Thank you, everybody. Good morning.
Islanders Finals MVP needs to be Tony Parker. Tony Parker has Finals MVPs. First of all, secondly, Kawhi was actually the fourth, arguably the fifth player on the 2014 championship team. Patty Mills had a great finals.
He did.
Patty had a great final, right?
He did. I'm not saying he did. I'm just chuckling because the way you said it.
Danny Green was a more impactful defender in that finals and the 2013 finals. If Ray Allen doesn't hit that 3, Danny Green has a finals MVP. And it wouldn't have been Kawhi. Kawhi will go down in history as the second greatest player to not have his jersey retired, because we ain't retiring that shit. They're not retiring in Toronto. And if the Clippers do it, they are wild, because he hasn't done a thing for y'all.
It's being retired in Toronto, bro.
If Clippers retire Kawhi Leonard's jersey for not playing basketball, that organization needs to be slid into the depths of the ocean.
They will I'm gonna say it now. They will retire Kawhi's jersey in Toronto.
The last thing
I'm not trying to hear it.
The last thing I want to say is that every attribute people have given to Kawhi Leonard, he's super quiet and he's a hard worker, all that stuff. That is just them adopting Tim Duncan's mentality, and that's because we in San Antonio adopted the next Duncan, and y'all followed it. That's not his actual personality. That's just the way he plays it up. And also, who signs with New Balance? That's just stupid. All right, that's it.
Jack Harlow, apparently.
I don't want to talk about white people in hip hop right now, Chris.
Oh, jeez. All right. Golden State Warriors. All right. They had a 5-game losing streak from October 29th through Friday, November 4th. And the reason why I'm pulling this out is they were all on the road. That was a hell of a road trip. And they lost to some pretty bad teams. Charlotte, Detroit, and Orlando at the time were 3 teams that were not expected to do anything. Miami, surprisingly, was 3-5 at the time, but they actually haven't looked too good either. And you had New Orleans. And in that game, everybody thought New Orleans was going to win because they rested everybody except for Jordan Poole in that game. So if you take the New Orleans game and even give them a loss if they started all their starters, that 5-game road trip has them at 8-9. However, conversely, if you look at their last games now, they are 5-2. And they've beaten Sacramento, Cleveland, San Antonio. They lost a thriller to Sacramento, lost to Phoenix, and then beat New York and Houston. Now, I was talking more so that it was Houston in terms of Klay Thompson's 40-point game with 10 threes. He was so wide open, you expected to do that. But in this recent string of games, they have played and beaten good teams. And even that Phoenix game was actually a pretty decent game. They just ended up getting hit by a very hot Cameron Payne and Devin Booker, who matched Curry, right? If they didn't match Curry, which means Cameron Payne played out of his mind, Golden State wins that game. And if Golden State wins that game because Cameron Payne plays more to his average as opposed to scoring 29 points, you're now talking 6-1 and 9-8. And I don't think people will be as worried for the Golden State Warriors. They have been saying, oh, okay, they were missing players in this 5-game road trip that sent them all across the country to the East Coast and back west. But then as soon as they got home, they win 6 of their last 7, right? So it's really that fine a point. And Curry is playing at an MVP level. Whether you like him or not, he's led the team in scoring in every game but 3. He's led the team in assists, I think, almost half the games. He's leading the team currently in rebounds per game, even though he only has like 2 that are high, or 3, maybe 3. Yeah, I think he's had 2 triple doubles and a double double. So like they got the player, they have the starting unit, especially if Klay does start to round more into shape. Wiggins has played phenomenally well. Draymond Green seems to be okay. Kevon Looney's all right. And then it comes down to the bench. And I agree with you. The loss of the veterans is a problem. Wiseman going down to the G League is to get the reps. I actually still like him. I just don't think he necessarily is ready to get 28 minutes. Moody and Kuminga, I think, are more of a concern because I think at times Kerr doesn't trust them because Kerr doesn't know if he's getting through to them. And I think that's why we see, especially with Kuminga, he's in and out, specifically being out. Dante DiVincenzo was hurt. They brought in JaMychal Green. He had a good preseason and a couple of good games, but he hasn't worked out as what I think they thought. And I just think that, once again, if we give them time, I think they will probably be better off than a lot of people are concerned or are worried for. And now the biggest miss that they are missing is Gary Payton II. Can Dante DiVincenzo be that person? No, but he can be a better backup point guard, and it'll be a lot easier for them to find a defensive guard that they could bring in, because I think that's really the only piece that they're missing is a defensive wing who can guard 2s and 3s. But beyond that, I still think they are chugging along and will eventually get to this hot point where they will be of the top 3 teams in the West. The biggest question is, who are those remaining teams? And to that point is like probably Portland and Denver, or maybe Phoenix and Utah, or maybe Denver and Utah. Who knows? But I don't really look at any of those 4 teams to be demonstratively better than Golden State. And Golden State is only 3.5 games out from Utah. So can they get that? I actually do think they can get that. And that's why I still kind of have them favored coming out of the West, despite the fact they're 3.5 games behind. We'll go to JFK first. His hand is up. Then we'll see who else has something to say. Then we'll probably go into a little bit of overtime here as we talk the Lakers, because we'll close out on the Lakers. JF, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, Chris. So to me, it just seems like the West is wide open. I mean, I think the only real people that only real team that we're not talking about is the Portland Trailblazers. They've shown that they can at least do something without Damian Lillard, on the starting court. It's a little bit tough just because Golden State Warriors, I think the young guys just need to develop a little bit more. And I don't know if it's going to happen this season. I think what needs to happen is just, continue from what they had last year and whoever they had, which is Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and just have somebody come off the bench. And I think Klay is just a perfect spot for that. Man, it's crazy because I'm trying to think, what if you put like somebody like the 76ers on the West? Would they be able to contend to get deeper than, per se, a team like, I don't know, the Kings? And even the Kings are on fire right now. Shouts out to Chris. So I just, I'm looking at the West. It's very, very questionable. And to be honest with you, it just seems like they do have the depth, but they just don't have the star power over on the Western Conference. But on the Eastern Conference, it seems like they do have the star power, but they lack the depth as well. So it might be a little vice versa when it comes down to that.
Yeah, and then also with Golden State, keep in mind they are the epitome of the team that cannot win on the road as well. They are 7-1 at home, and they just won their first road game, 1-8. I don't think we think as a collective group of NBA fans that the Warriors were going to go winless on the road, right? Like, so if the Warriors happen to go 500 here on out on the road, and let's say they go 55% winning at home, they would actually make up that 3.5 game difference by mid-February. So, like, that's another reason why I'm not necessarily panicking. Now, if they end up getting an injury, we will then throw up the red flag, because if Curry were to ever go down, we understand what that means. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Knock on wood, y'all. Andre, your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of if this, if that contingencies everywhere that I'm hearing, and in very, very important categories for me with Golden State. I don't think it's time to panic because you have Steph Curry, right? But it is definitely something to cause concern. This is not a team that I say beyond the shadow of a doubt they're coming out of the West, and I have them as a front runner right now, based on what I'm seeing, because like I said, a lot of those role players and veterans that they did have made such an impact on their run and in crucial moments in the playoffs. I definitely agree with Chris regarding Gary Payton II. He is irreplaceable for the Warriors. He knew that offense back and front, and then defense was A1, right? I don't think there's a replacement for him. Now, my concern is the youth that they have. I am a fan of Wiseman as well, Chris, too. Kuminga just doesn't seem to get it, and he's not getting it as fast. And how long is it going to take you? It's very up and down. I think that if you have Steph, most definitely, you're always an if. But I think that the surrounding pieces having issues, how you fit and so forth, that's the problem that they're going to have. Their role playing is very big on why they won. And I don't believe in their bench, right? And then I don't know if this 40-point Clay that we saw yesterday is sustainable moving forward. I don't think that's going to happen on the norm. I think they need to decide what they're going to roll with, who's coming off the bench, who's starting, and move from there. And then things will start to fall into place. But coming out of the West, I just don't see it with the way they're built now because of all the holes that they have.
All right, fair enough. Anybody else down below want to get in on the Golden State Warriors? No? Wow.
No, I think everything's pretty much been said, but I think everything's pretty much been said. I also think that their bench, I think their bench is an issue. And if Kuminga, players like Kuminga I don't think they're going to be able to make up for what they lost, especially with Gary Payton II. Even though he hasn't played yet this season, it would have been good if at least if he was coming back and, they could look forward to him coming back and being on, coming off the bench. They don't even have that. So that's my only concern. I'm curious if they're going to do something at the deadline.
Yeah, I think they will. I just think people need to do what Aaron Rodgers said famously one day, like relax. Micah, 30 seconds.
Man, I would like to say relax, but I've always liked the Warriors because I love their brand of basketball, and it looks like they don't have none of the things that made them dominant. Like in all their title runs, they had a dominant bench, and they were dominant defensively. Everybody always looked at Golden State as, oh, look at all these threes that they can hit. But they missed the bigger picture to where, like, every championship they won, they were top 3 defensively. And I'm just not seeing that right now. And it probably plays a part with guys getting older, and you don't really notice when somebody loses a minuscule step, and I think that's just what's happening, and along with losing players to death and so forth and so on. But that's what I see.
I appreciate it. I also want to tell everybody that the championship hangover is real. Every champion, even the Bulls, admit it. You play the longest. You also celebrate. That means your vacations are out pushed back. It means you come back later from vacation. Most times you're not getting the same amount of off season work in, and you get this lethargic start. And it happens. Like even the Spurs did it, and actually when asked about it, that's why Tim Duncan said one time, like, look, we don't shoot to be a 60-win team. We shoot to get 55 wins to get home court advantage in the first round because after that, it's what whoever wins. Like this is a very hard sport to play in a 7-game series, and that's why the great teams do a phenomenal job of staying consistent throughout the year, so that when they get to the 7-game series, they happen to perform more consistently, and that tends to be, veteran laden teams who've been there before. And if you're going to tell me that they can't figure out from the same starting five from last year plus Jordan Poole how to get it done, then we can probably say it's safe to assume that maybe Steve Kerr would be gone. But like I don't see anything to be panicking about. Unlike the Los Angeles Lakers, who are 5-10. However, if we are as objective with them as we are with every other team, there's a couple of things to actually say, you know what? They aren't as bad either. And that is a really interesting statement. I think the difference between the Lakers and, say, the Golden State Warriors or maybe the Chicago Bulls is the inability to add a piece by any means other than the future first-round draft picks. I had said that, it might even be better to go ahead and buy out Russ if you're not sure you're going to be able to trade him, just so Jeannie Buss doesn't have to pay the extra money and you can file, for some type of abatement and get a $6 million tax credit to spend on a player. All jokes aside, they are 5-10, ladies and gentlemen, 5-10. Here's their upcoming schedule. This is why I say this is an interesting time. They are off of 3 consecutive wins against Brooklyn, Detroit, San Antonio. They have Phoenix, San Antonio, Indiana, Portland, Milwaukee, right? It starts out easy. You get the Phoenix Suns, and then you get San Antonio again. And then you start going in, you got Portland, Milwaukee, Washington, and Cleveland. But look, we could turn into December 2nd, right? We could tune in to this December 2nd game of Milwaukee and Los Angeles. And I'm not going to lie, the Lakers could be 500. If they beat Phoenix tonight or tomorrow night.
Chris, stop.
If they beat Phoenix tomorrow night, they've got the Spurs, the Pacers on their West Coast game, and then Portland. Like, I love Tyrese Halliburton. I said it last week. I tried to put y'all on game. He is the 3rd best point guard in the league. That's fact. Like, that's just based off production. But they can lose, especially when they're going on a late game to Los Angeles on the back end of a road trip. And if we get to Friday, December 2nd, with the Lakers at 500, Andrea, what are you thinking and feeling?
Listen, first and foremost, as the biggest Laker fan ever, I promise you, not a Bron fanatic, okay? I want to make sure I make that real clear. I'm a real Laker fan, okay? I'm going to be honest with myself like I have been for years, okay? This team is assembled like the front office, like trash. I don't care how we put it. I'm glad that we had those 3 wins in a row, right? Anthony Davis looks amazing, which I knew he was capable of. Everybody that was talking all this crap, I was like, I'm rooting for you to have a comeback season. And right now, his numbers are better than the bubble year when we won. So I'm going to go on ahead and leave that there, right? It bothers me, though, for many reasons, that we play better when Bron is off the floor. That's a cause for concern, right? Then also for 2 years, I've been saying bring Russ off the bench so he can get acclimated and get this good sooner. So we would be looking way better by now. But we decided to wait until Darvin Ham becomes head coach to try that experiment. Now, the whole buyout of $47 million is crazy and out of this world. There's no way that's going to happen. I think that Russ off the bench works great. My problem is for the third year in a row, we have the same problem. We have about 6 C- graded bronze on the team, it feels like. You got Kendrick Nunn, you got Patrick Beverly, you got Dennis Schroeder, you got Russ, they all play the fucking same way. I don't get it. Like, they all play the same way. And we don't have any shooters whatsoever. And right now, in a league where shooting is needed, we don't have any. That's another cause for concern. However, still beyond that, we're still a mismatch. The highlight and the good part about this is the Lakers are a mismatch issue for some teams because of their ability to be taller and bigger for a lot of teams. But the glaring issue from not being able to hit from the perimeter is going to be an issue moving forward when you go against the Phoenix, the Portlands, the Denvers, the Phillies, and people that have a real defense in the paint. Me personally, after this road trip, I think we'll probably break even. Definitely not 500. I'm talking about the games will go 500. Okay. I think we have some winnable games here. We've played Portland before. It came down to the wire. I'm not really worried about that. Milwaukee's an issue. That's who is to me, in my head, when healthy, Milwaukee is going to be the team to beat moving forward for a while. Either Boston or Milwaukee are going to fluctuate. Those are going to be the 2 teams to beat. But that's all I have to say. I'll rest the mic.
All right, look, I'm just saying they don't have Chris Paul, right? They actually match up well against the Suns without Chris Paul. They can win this game. And if they win this game, they can beat the Spurs in a back-to-back. Like, they ain't going to be walking the Riverwalk. There ain't too much to do in San Ant. Like, let's be real. They can lock in and beat those Spurs twice. And like, they've got 2 winnable games. Like, they can beat Portland. It went down to the wire.
I said 500. Did I not say 500?
I'm saying they can make it to 500 to the Bucks game. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't see it, but go off.
Well, I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they could. I think they actually go 4-1.
Anybody can do anything if they just believe, right, Chris?
Well, no. If that was the case, I'd be president of the United States. I'd also have been an astronaut. I also would have found the cure for cancer, and then I also, even more importantly, would have figured out how to get rid of plastic water bottles.
If you applied yourself, you could do it. Trust me.
I don't know. I'm not that smart. Malika, your hands up. That's why I'm training my son. He's going to solve all the world's problems, by the way. Make sure you go ahead and support his school fund. That's really what I'm asking for. Yeah, the school fund. Bro, school's expensive. Malika, go ahead.
I wanted to ask. Dre, why do you think the Lakers seem to play better with Bron off the floor?
Ooh,
I'm actually curious about that.
Ooh, I can definitely answer that, Malika. For me, one little thing I want to say before I give the explanation. There is a huge wide gap in difference between watching a Ja Morant go for 35, a Jason Tatum going for 35. Not even Jason Tatum. I'll go with Joel Embiid getting a 35 and then watching Bron go for 35, right? At this point, 20 years, we know that he's still a great player, right? But as you get older, you want to get your team more involved. One of the glaring obvious things that I see every night when he's on the floor, he wants to do too much and control the ball for way too long, like dribbling for more than half of the shot clock, taking 3-pointers from the logo and just giving away possessions. Whereas we now see when he's not on the floor, we're getting easy transition buckets and we're getting we're getting going by passing and moving the ball. I've seen so many plays last night. The ball goes from one corner side three all the way to the other side of the floor and creates a wide open shot. Bron, for some reason, hasn't been doing that. Maybe he doesn't trust his teammates. I don't know. But at this point, because of ball movement and everybody being able to get involved and warm up and actually get a chance to hit a shot, it looks better. When Bron is in the game, the ball becomes stagnant. That's all I have to say with that.
We're gonna get ready to close down. I want to give a point for that. There's also one thing that I think we kind of overlook, and it's that LeBron James and Anthony Davis, their best position is the same position. And prior, you had an offense that was able to highlight each player individually. In this offense, you cannot do that. In this offense, either LeBron is Giannis or AD is Giannis. Somebody's got to be Chris Middleton. And the problem is neither one of them want to be Chris Middleton.
AD should be leading. AD is that dude when he is healthy.
Talk about it, Malika.
He is that dude. Like, he needs to be the number one on this team. And just form around him. That's what I think.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We are 10 minutes over. The overtime period has expired, and Andrea and Malika won. Give themselves a round of applause, and points abound. What do the points get you?
I missed Drea.
Prizes. Yeah,
I miss you too, bro.
She stayed on Clubhouse. It's okay. We know.
No,
we might be
don't
there.
do me like that. Don't do me like that.
Tomorrow, 10 a.m., we'll be talking more basketball. Wednesday, we'll have Yossi Goslin of Hoops Hype on. Look, it's the holiday season. Eat what you want. All right? Like, it ain't that difficult. Be easy on yourself. Drink your water. Limit the alcohol consumption and eat what you want. Like, just chill. Doesn't have to be hard. Back here tomorrow, better than ever, 10 a.m., talking ball. Peace out, everybody.